Vanessa's hand came down hard across the little girl's face. The slap echoed through the small kitchen like a gunshot. "You went to that cemetery again, didn't you?" Vanessa screamed, her breath reeking of cheap vodka. "Didn't you?" Maya stumbled backward, her small body hitting the refrigerator. She clutched a worn leather journal against her chest, protecting it like it was the last piece of her father still alive. "I had to see Daddy," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her brown cheeks. "He talks to me. He's still there. He's dead." Vanessa grabbed the girl's arm and yanked hard. Her red fingernails dug into the soft skin, drawing blood. "Your daddy is dead. He's rotting in the ground. And you're mine now. You belong to me." She threw Maya against the wall. The child slid down, crying, but she never let go of that journal. "Daddy's not gone," Maya whispered through her sobs. "He talks to me every day. I hear him. He's still alive." Vanessa laughed. Cold, cruel, the sound of a woman with no soul. "You're crazy little girl, just like I told the doctors. Crazy and delusional. Nobody's going to believe a word you say." But Maya wasn't crazy, and what was buried beneath her father's grave would soon destroy everything Vanessa had built on lies. If you love stories about Justice Family and the unbreakable bond between a father and daughter, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and follow this story until the very end. Please comment below with the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Now let us begin. Marcus Wellington heard the crying before he saw the child. He had just placed white lilies on his mother's grave when the sound reached him. Not ordinary crying. This was something deeper. Something broken. The kind of sobbing that comes from a place where hope has almost died. He stood up slowly, his knees aching from kneeling on the cold ground. 52 years old. Gray touching his temples. A self-made millionaire who had built his empire from nothing. But none of that mattered right now. That crying mattered. He walked toward the sound, his expensive shoes crunching on the gravel path. 3 rows over, near a freshly placed headstone, he found her. A little black girl, maybe 7 years old, wearing a faded yellow dress that was too big for her thin frame. Her hair was in messy braids that looked like no one had touched them in days. And she was kneeling on the ground, pressing her ear against the earth, like she was listening for something. Marcus stopped a few feet away. "Hey there!" The girl's head snapped up. Her eyes were red and swollen, but fierce. Defiant, like a wounded animal ready to fight. "Who are you?" she demanded. "My name is Marcus. I was just visiting my mama's grave over there," he pointed. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't look fine. You look like you've been crying for a long time." The girl wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I'm waiting for my daddy." Marcus glanced at the headstone behind her. Jerome Thompson. Loving father. Forever in our hearts. His chest tightened. "Sweetheart, Annie," he said carefully, "is this your daddy's grave?" She nodded. Then she pressed her ear to the ground again. "What are you doing?" "Listening. He talks to me every day, right here." Marcus felt something cold run down his spine. "What do you mean, he talks to you?" The girl looked up at him with eyes that held no doubt, no hesitation, complete certainty. "My daddy's voice comes from under the ground. He tells me to be brave. He tells me I'm not alone. He tells me someone good is going to find me." She paused. "Are you the good person?" Marcus couldn't speak. His throat had closed up completely. This child. This broken, beautiful child. Waiting at her father's grave every day, believing she could hear his voice. Part of him wanted to tell her the truth. Dead men don't talk. Graves are silent. You're imagining things because you miss him so much. But another part of him remembered being 8 years old, standing in the rain outside his aunt's house after his parents' funeral, knocking on the door, begging someone to let him in. Nobody had answered. He had spent the next 10 years bouncing from foster home to foster home, learning the hard way that the world doesn't care about orphaned children. Now he was looking at another orphaned child, and he couldn't walk away. "What's your name?" he asked. "Maya Thompson." "That's a beautiful name, Maya." He sat down on the grass beside her, not caring about his expensive suit. "How long have you been coming here?" "Every day, for 6 months, ever since Daddy went to heaven." "Does someone bring you here, your mom, a family member?" Maya's face changed. The defiance flickered, replaced by something darker. "My mama died when I was a baby. Now I live with Vanessa. She married my daddy before he got sick." "Vanessa, is she nice to you?" Silence. A long, terrible silence. Maya looked down at her lap. Her small fingers tightened around the journal she was clutching. Marcus said gently. Does Vanessa know you're here right now? The girl shook her head quickly, too quickly. She doesn't let me come. She says Daddy's dead and I need to forget him. But I can't forget him, Mr. Marcus. I can't. He talks to me. He needs me to listen. How did you get here if she doesn't let you come? I climbed out my window. The lock is broken. I push a chair against the wall and squeeze through. I've done it lots of times. A 7-year-old girl, climbing out of windows, walking alone through the streets, just to visit her father's grave. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest, hot and fierce. Maya, I need you to tell me something, and I need you to tell me the truth. The girl looked at him warily. Has Vanessa ever hurt you? Silence again. Then slowly, Maya pulled up the sleeve of her dress. Marcus stopped breathing. Bruises, dark purple and sickly yellow, running up and down her thin arm, some fresh, some old, a roadmap of abuse that told a story words never could. She says I'm clumsy, Maya whispered. She says I fall a lot, but I don't fall, Mr. Marcus. She pushes me, she grabs me, she hits me when I make her angry. How often does she hit you? Every day, sometimes more. Marcus felt something break inside him, a dam he had built decades ago to hold back the pain of his own childhood. It cracked wide open, and memories flooded through. He remembered the foster father who used to lock him in the closet for hours. He remembered the foster mother who called him worthless and stupid. He remembered being hungry, scared, and completely alone. No one had saved him. He had saved himself. But Maya was 7 years old. She couldn't save herself. Maya, what's in that journal you're holding? The girl looked down at the worn leather book. Her fingers traced the edges like it was sacred. Daddy gave it to me the night before he died. He said everything I need to know is inside. He made me promise to keep it safe forever. Can I see it? Maya hesitated. Her whole body tensed like she was preparing to run. I won't take it, Marcus said quickly. I just want to read what your daddy wrote. I promise I'll give it right back. She studied his face for a long moment. Whatever she saw there must have convinced her because slowly, carefully, she held out the journal. Marcus took it with trembling hands. He opened it to the first page. The handwriting was uneven, shaky, written by a dying man who was running out of time. My beautiful Maya, if you are reading this, then I have gone to be with your mother in heaven. I am so sorry, baby girl. I tried to stay. I tried to fight, but my heart was too weak. There are things you need to know, things I couldn't tell you before, things that will keep you safe. Trust the voice, Maya. When you hear me speaking from the ground, know that I am still with you. I built something for you over you, something that will remind you every single day that your daddy loves you more than anything in this world. And when the time comes when the right person finds you, show them this journal. Show them what I've written, because Vanessa is not who she pretends to be. She is dangerous, Maya. She married me for my money. She waited for me to die. And now she wants to take everything from you. But I won't let her. The truth is hidden where she'll never find it. Ask your Uncle Leon. He knows. I love you to the moon and ba-ba-dum and back, baby girl. Forever and always. Daddy Marcus read the words 3 times. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. This wasn't just a goodbye letter, this was a warning. A dying father's desperate attempt to protect his daughter from beyond the grave. Trust the voice. I built something for you. The voice Maya heard. It wasn't a delusion. It wasn't grief-induced madness. It was real. Jerome Thompson had created something. A device, a recording. Something that played his voice for his daughter every single day. But why? Why go to such lengths? Because he knew. He knew what Vanessa was. He knew what she would do to Maya after he was gone. And he had left clues, evidence, hidden somewhere that Vanessa would never find. Maya, Marcus said slowly, who is Uncle Leon? Daddy's brother. He has a car shop near the train tracks. Daddy used to take me there on Saturdays. Uncle Leon always gave me candy and called me his little princess. Do you still see him? Maya shook her head sadly. Vanessa won't let me. She says Uncle Leon is a bad man, but he's not bad, Mr. Marcus. He loved my daddy. He cried at the funeral. Vanessa didn't even cry. Marcus closed the journal and handed it back to Maya. She clutched it to her chest, immediately protecting it with her whole body. Maya, I'm going to ask you something important, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Okay. The voice you hear from your daddy, what time does it happen? Maya thought for a moment. When the sun is right there. She pointed to a spot in the sky. Every day, the same time. He says the same things. What does he say? Be brave, Maya. You're not alone. Daddy loves you. And then he says the truth is always worth fighting for. The same words, every day, at the exact same time. That confirmed it. Jerome Thompson had buried some kind of playback device near his grave, something programmed to activate at a specific hour, a final message for his daughter. But there was more. There had to be. The journal mentioned hidden truth. Evidence. Something that would expose Vanessa for what she really was. And Uncle Leon knew where to find it. At that moment, Maya suddenly grabbed Marcus's arm. Her eyes went wide. It's almost time, she whispered urgently. Daddy's going to talk. You have to listen. Please. Nobody ever believes me. But maybe you will. She pulled him toward the grave and pressed her ear against the cold ground. Marcus knelt beside her, feeling foolish but unable to resist. He pressed his ear to the earth. For a moment there was nothing. Just silence and the faint sound of wind through the trees. Then he heard it. A man's voice. Faint but unmistakable. Rising from somewhere beneath the ground. My beautiful Maya, you've been brave for one more day. I know it's hard, baby girl. I know you feel alone. But you were never alone. Daddy is always with you. Daddy loves you more than all the stars in the sky. Be strong. Be brave. And remember, the truth is always worth fighting for. Someone good is going to find you. Trust them. Let them help you. The voice faded into silence. Marcus sat back, and his mind reeling. He had heard it. He had actually heard it, a dead man's voice rising from his grave. Not a ghost, not a supernatural phenomenon, but something far more powerful, a father's love engineered to survive death itself. Maya was looking at him with desperate hope in her eyes. Did you hear him? Did you hear my daddy? Marcus nodded slowly. I heard him, Maya. I heard him. The girl burst into tears. But these weren't tears of sadness. These were tears of relief, tears of validation. Nobody ever believes me, she sobbed. Vanessa says I'm crazy. The doctors say I'm making things up. But I'm not crazy, Mr. Marcus. I'm not. Marcus pulled her into a hug. She was so small, so fragile, her little body trembling against his chest. You're not crazy, Maya. Your daddy found a way to talk to you. He built something special just for you, and I believe every word you've told me. She clung to him like he was a lifeline, like he was the only solid thing in a world that kept trying to break her. And in that moment, Marcus made a decision. He was going to save this child, no matter what it cost him, no matter who he had to fight. He was not going to be another closed door, not for Maya Thompson. Maya, I need you to listen carefully. I'm going to help you, but first I need to find your Uncle Leon. I need to understand what your daddy was trying to tell us. Do you understand? She nodded, wiping her tears. Can you go home without Vanessa knowing you were here? I think so. She's probably drinking with Derek. She never notices when I'm gone. Who's Derek? Maya's face darkened. Vanessa's boyfriend. He lives with us sometimes. He has a gun, Mr. Marcus. He showed it to me once. He said if I ever told anyone about what happens at home, he would use it. Marcus felt ice flood through his veins. Has Derek ever hurt you? Maya looked away. Her small hands twisted the fabric of her dress. Maya, has Derek ever touched you? He grabs my hair sometimes. When he's drunk, he pulls it really hard and laughs. Vanessa just watches. Marcus's hands curled into fists. He wanted to drive to that house right now and tear Derek apart with his bare hands. But he couldn't. Not yet. He needed evidence. He needed a plan. If he went in guns blazing, Vanessa would disappear. She would take Maya and run, and that little girl would be trapped with those monsters forever. Okay, Maya, here's what we're going to do. You're going to go home. You're going to act normal. Don't tell Vanessa you talked to me. Don't tell Derek. Don't tell anyone. Can you do that? Yes, sir? Tomorrow I want you to come back here. Same time, same place. I'm going to find your Uncle Leon tonight. I'm going to find out what your daddy hid, and then I'm going to come back for you. Do you understand? Maya nodded, but fear clouded her eyes. What if Vanessa locks my window? What if she doesn't let me leave? Marcus pulled out his wallet and found a business card. He wrote his personal cell phone number on the back. If anything happens, if you're scared, if you need help, you find a way to call this number. Any phone. A neighbor's phone. A payphone. Anything. I will come for you, Maya. I promise. She took the card and tucked it carefully into her journal. Mr. Marcus? Yes. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Marcus looked into those young eyes, and he saw himself at that age. desperate, alone, praying for someone to care. Because a long time ago, I was just like you. I lost my parents when I was 8 years old. I had nobody. I cried for help, and nobody came. He paused. I'm not going to let that happen to you, Maya, not if I can stop it. For the first time since he had found her, Maya smiled, a real smile, small and fragile, but genuine. Daddy was right, she whispered. He said someone good would find me, and you did. She hugged him one more time. Then she stood up, brushed the dirt off her dress, and started walking toward the cemetery gate. Halfway there, she turned back. Mr. Marcus, my daddy's favorite song was Amazing Grace. He used to sing it to me every night before bed. Vanessa made me stop singing it. She said it reminded her too much of him. Why are you telling me this? Because when you find Uncle Leon, tell him Maya still remembers all the words. He'll know what that means. She turned and ran her yellow dress, disappearing around the corner. Marcus stood alone among the graves, his mind racing. Amazing Grace. A code, a message. Something Jerome had left with his brother. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. James, it's Wellington. I need you to drop everything you're doing and meet me now. James Carter was the best private investigator in Atlanta, former police detective, sharp mind, relentless work ethic. Marcus had used him for corporate matters before, but this was different. This was life and death. They met at a diner 20 minutes later. Marcus told him everything. The little girl at the cemetery, the bruises on her arm, the journal from her dead father, the voice rising from the grave. James listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, he let out a long breath. That's one hell of a story. I need everything you can find on Vanessa Cole. Criminal records, financial history, known associates, everything. How soon? Yesterday. James nodded slowly. What about the Uncle Leon Thompson? I'm going to find him myself, tonight. You sure that's smart, walking into unknown territory without backup? That little girl doesn't have time for me to be smart. She has time for me to be fast. James pulled out his phone and started typing. I'll have preliminary info on Vanessa within 2 hours. The deep stuff might take a couple days. Focus on money, debts, assets, insurance policies. If she married Jerome for his money, there's a paper trail. Got it. Marcus stood up and threw some bills on the table. One more thing, James. Yeah? There's a man named Derek, lives with Vanessa sometimes, has a gun, makes threats to the child. James's eyes hardened. I'll find out who he is. Do it fast. Marcus walked out of the diner and got into his car. He pulled up Google Maps on his phone and searched for auto repair shops near the train tracks. There were 3 possibilities. Thompson's auto was the second one on the list. 20 minutes later, Marcus pulled into a small parking lot in front of a weathered garage. The sign above the door was faded but readable: Thompson's Auto Repair. Honest work, fair prices. Through the open bay door, he could see a man working under a car. Middle-aged, strong build, dark skin, grease on his hands and coveralls. Marcus got out of his car and walked toward the garage. The man looked up when he heard footsteps. His eyes were cautious, guarded. Help you with something. Are you Leon Thompson? The man straightened up slowly. His expression changed. Wary now. Who's asking? My name is Marcus Wellington. I just came from the cemetery. I was visiting my mother's grave when I found a little girl crying next to her father's headstone. Leon's face went pale. Maya, you saw Maya. I did more than see her. I talked to her. She showed me her father's journal, and I heard... Marcus paused. I heard your brother's voice, coming from the ground. Leon set down his wrench. His hands were shaking. You heard it. You actually heard Jerome. I did. And now I need you to tell me what the hell is going on, because that little girl is being abused. She's being beaten. And if I don't do something fast, I'm afraid she's going to end up dead. Leon's eyes filled with tears. He turned away, wiping his face with a rag. I knew it, he said, his voice breaking. I knew Vanessa was hurting her. I tried to get custody after Jerome died. I went to lawyers, I went to Child Protective Services, but Vanessa had documents, therapy records, medical notes. She made it look like Maya was the problem, like Maya was crazy and making things up. The voice from the grave, Marcus said. You built it? Leon nodded slowly. Jerome asked me to, 3 days before he died. He knew his heart was giving out. He knew what Vanessa would do once he was gone. So he made me promise. Promise what? To build a device that would play his voice for Maya every day, at the same time, for 1 whole year. He recorded messages for her, dozens of them. I buried the speaker system next to the grave foundation connected to a timer and a solar battery. Why go to all that trouble? Leon looked at Marcus with haunted eyes. Because he wanted Maya to know she wasn't alone. Because he wanted her to keep hoping. Keep believing. Keep waiting for someone good to find her. The journal mentions hidden truth, evidence. It says you know where to find it. Leon hesitated, his whole body tensed. I do know, but if I tell you, you have to promise me something. Name it. You have to get Maya out of that house. You have to save her. I can't do it myself. I tried. The courts won't listen to me. But you're different. You have money, power, connections. I already promised Maya I would help her. I'm not breaking that promise. Leon studied his face for a long moment. Then he nodded. There's a storage unit on the east side of town, Unit 47 at Metro Self Storage. Jerome rented it 6 months before he died. He told me to keep paying the rent no matter what. Inside that unit is everything. Everything. Bank statements, emails, photographs, evidence that Vanessa was stealing from him while he was sick, evidence that she was planning to cash in his life insurance policy, evidence that she was having an affair with Derek Shaw before Jerome even died. Marcus felt his heart rate spike. How much is the life insurance policy worth? $2 million. But here's the thing. If Vanessa loses custody of Maya, she loses access to the money. The policy has a clause. If the legal guardian is found to be abusive or unfit, everything goes into a trust for the child. So she needs Maya to get the money. Exactly. That's why she hasn't thrown Maya out on the street. That's why she keeps her locked up in that house. Maya is her meal ticket. Marcus's jaw tightened. She's treating that child like property. Worse than property, at least you don't beat your property. What about Derek Shaw? What's his role in all this? Leon's expression darkened. Derek is dangerous. He's got connections to some bad people in this city. Loan sharks, gambling operations. Vanessa owes money to a man named Terrence Blake. A lot of money. Derek is Blake's enforcer. He moved in with Vanessa to keep an eye on her, make sure she doesn't run before paying back what she owes. How much does she owe? Last I heard, over $300,000, and the interest keeps climbing. Marcus ran his hands over his face. This was worse than he had imagined. Vanessa wasn't just an abusive stepmother. She was a desperate woman trapped in debt to dangerous criminals. And Maya was caught in the middle. Leon, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Go to that storage unit tonight. Get every piece of evidence you can carry. Make copies. Put the copies somewhere safe, somewhere nobody can find them. And be ready to testify. Testify in court. If it comes to that, and I think it will. Leon nodded slowly. I'll do it. For Jerome, for Maya. Marcus shook his hand. One more thing. Maya told me to tell you something. She said to tell you that she still remembers all the words to Amazing Grace. She said you'd know what that means. Leon's face crumbled. Tears streamed down his cheeks. That was Jerome's favorite song. He used to sing it to Maya every night. Before he died, he told her that whenever she was scared, she should sing it in her head. He said the words would keep her safe. He paused. He said as long as she remembered the song, he would always be with her. Marcus felt his own eyes burning. He blinked hard. I'll bring her home, Leon. I swear to you, I'll bring her home. He walked back to his car and drove away from the garage. His phone buzzed. A text from James. Vanessa Cole, preliminary findings. 3 prior arrests, petty theft, fraud, assault. All charges dropped or pleaded down. Married Jerome Thompson 18 months ago. He died 6 months later. Life insurance policy $2 million. Beneficiary Vanessa Cole as guardian of minor child Maya Thompson. Bank records show large cash withdrawals starting 3 months before Jerome's death. Total approximately $175,000. Current debts unknown. But sources indicate significant gambling losses at underground venues. Known associate Derek Shaw. Criminal record includes assault weapons charges and suspected involvement with Terrence Blake organization. More coming soon. Marcus read the text twice. Then he called James. I need everything on Terrence Blake, his operation, his connection to Vanessa and Derek, all of it. That's going to take some digging. Blake is careful. He doesn't leave fingerprints. I don't care how long it takes. I need it. Understood. But Marcus? Yeah. Be careful. These aren't the kind of people who negotiate. They eliminate problems. I'm not a problem, James. I'm a solution they haven't seen coming. He hung up and drove toward Morrison Street. He needed to see Maya's house. He needed to understand what she was living with. The blue house was exactly as Maya had described. Weathered siding, broken fence, a yard full of weeds and discarded junk. Marcus parked across the street and watched. The windows were lit up. Music was playing loud. Through the thin curtains, he could see shadows moving, people laughing, drinking. He counted at least 4 adults inside. Vanessa and Derek, plus 2 others he didn't recognize. Where was Maya? As if answering his question, a light came on in a small window at the back of the house. A child's silhouette appeared briefly, then vanished. She was there, in her room, probably locked in based on what she had told him. Marcus gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles ached. Every instinct screamed at him to kick down that door and carry Maya out of there. But he couldn't. Not yet. If he acted without proof, without legal standing, Vanessa would claim he was the criminal. She would take Maya and disappear before anyone could stop her. He needed evidence. He needed the courts. He needed to play this smart. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Marcus Wellington. The voice was male, cold, unfamiliar. Who is this? Let's just say I'm someone who knows what you've been doing today. Cemetery, auto shop, asking a lot of questions about things that don't concern you. Marcus's blood ran cold. Someone was watching him. What do you want? I want you to walk away. That little girl is none of your business. The Thompson family situation is being handled. Your interference is not welcome. Is that a threat? A low laugh. It's advice, free advice. Take it, because the next conversation we have won't be so friendly. The line went dead. Marcus stared at his phone. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. Someone knew. Someone connected to Vanessa and Derek. Maybe Terrence Blake himself. They had spotted him at the cemetery. They had followed him to Leon's garage. And now they were warning him off, which meant he was getting close. Whatever Jerome had hidden, whatever evidence was in that storage unit, it was dangerous enough to make powerful people nervous. Good. Marcus started his car and pulled away from Morrison Street. He didn't drive home. Instead, he circled the block twice, watching his mirrors, making sure no one was following. Then he headed for Metro Self-Storage. It was after 9 when he arrived. The facility was closed, but there was a keypad entrance. He texted Leon. What's the access code for the storage facility? 3 dots appeared. Then 7729. Unit 47. I already called ahead. They're expecting you. Marcus punched in the code. The gate slid open. He drove slowly through the rows of storage units until he found number 47. He parked, got out, and approached the door. There was a padlock. He texted Leon again. Combination 120589. Maya's birthday. December 5th, 1989. Marcus frowned. That couldn't be right. Maya was 7 years old. Then he understood. It was Jerome's birthday, not Maya's. A code that meant something to the family. He spun the combination. The lock clicked open. He lifted the rolling door. Inside was a small space, maybe 8 feet by 10 feet. Metal shelving along both walls. Cardboard boxes stacked neatly. A filing cabinet in the corner. Marcus stepped inside and pulled the door down behind him. He didn't want anyone seeing what he was doing. He started with the filing cabinet. The top drawer was full of documents, bank statements, credit card records, photographs. He pulled out a stack of photos and flipped through them. Vanessa and Derek, at a restaurant, his arm around her shoulder, laughing. The date stamp on the photos was from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, before Jerome died, before they were even married. She had been cheating on her husband while he was dying, with the man who now lived in her house and threatened her stepdaughter. Marcus felt sick. He kept digging. Financial records showed systematic transfers from Jerome's accounts to an offshore account in Vanessa's name. Thousands of dollars at a time. Over and over, for months. She hadn't just waited for him to die. She had been bleeding him dry while he was still alive. At the bottom of the cabinet, he found a manila envelope with the words "Insurance Policy" written in black marker. He opened it. The policy was there. $2 million. Vanessa Cole as beneficiary with one crucial clause highlighted in yellow. In the event that the named guardian is found to be unfit, negligent, or abusive toward the minor beneficiary, all proceeds shall be transferred to a trust administered by the appointed successor, trustee Leon Michael Thompson. Leon. Jerome had made his brother the backup trustee. If Vanessa lost custody, Leon would control the money until Maya turned 18. Vanessa would get nothing. No wonder she was desperate to keep Maya under her control. No wonder she was willing to beat the child and lock her in her room. 2 million reasons to keep that little girl trapped. Marcus gathered everything. Photos, documents, the insurance policy. He loaded it all into a cardboard box and carried it to his car. As he was loading the box into his trunk, headlights swept across the parking lot. A black SUV was pulling through the gate. Marcus ducked behind his car. His heart was pounding. The SUV stopped about 50 feet away. The engine kept running. The headlights stayed on. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the driver's door opened. A large man stepped out. Thick build, gold chain around his neck, a face that looked like it had seen too many fights. He didn't approach Marcus. He just stood there, watching. A message. A warning. You're being observed. Marcus straightened up slowly. He met the man's eyes across the parking lot. Neither of them spoke. After 30 seconds, the man got back in the SUV. It reversed out of the parking lot and disappeared into the night. Marcus exhaled. His hands were shaking now. They knew he had found the evidence, which meant the clock was ticking. He had to move fast. He got in his car and drove to his office. It was nearly midnight, but he didn't care. He needed to make copies of everything. He needed to store originals in his office safe. And he needed to call his lawyer first thing in the morning. By 2 a.m., he had scanned every document and saved the files to an encrypted cloud drive. The originals were locked in his safe. He sat in his chair staring at the city lights through his window. Somewhere out there, a 7-year-old girl was sleeping in a locked room clutching her father's journal, waiting for someone to save her. Tomorrow he would go back to the cemetery. He would tell Maya that he had found the truth, that her father had left behind everything needed to set her free, and then he would go to war. Against Vanessa Cole, against Derek Shaw, against Terrence Blake, against anyone who stood between him and that child. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You were warned. Now you've made an enemy. Marcus read the message. Then he typed his reply. Good. I was getting bored. He set down his phone and closed his eyes. In his mind, he heard Maya's voice. Daddy said someone good would find me, and you did. He had found her, and he was not going to let her down. Not tomorrow. Not ever. The battle for Maya Thompson's soul was about to begin, and Marcus Wellington was ready to fight. Marcus didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Maya's bruised arm. He heard her voice saying, Daddy talks to me. He felt the weight of the evidence box in his hands. At 6 a.m., he gave up trying to rest and called his attorney. Michael Anderson answered on the third ring, his voice groggy. Marcus, it's not even dawn. What's wrong? I need you to meet me at my office in 1 hour. Bring everything you have on child custody emergency procedures. Child custody. Since when are you? 1 hour. Michael, I'll explain everything. He hung up and took a shower. The hot water did nothing to calm his nerves. His mind kept racing, calculating, planning. Vanessa was going to fight. She had too much to lose. $2 million and a lifetime of freedom depended on keeping Maya under her control. But Marcus had something she didn't expect. He had Jerome's evidence, and he had the truth. At 7:15, Michael arrived at the office. He was a sharp man in his mid-40s with wire-rimmed glasses and a reputation for winning impossible cases. Marcus had hired him 5 years ago for a corporate lawsuit. Now he needed him for something far more important. Tell me everything, Michael said, setting down his briefcase. Marcus told him. The cemetery, Maya, the journal, the voice from the grave, Leon Thompson, the storage unit, the evidence of fraud, embezzlement, and abuse. When he finished, Michael was silent for a long moment. This is serious, Marcus. Very serious. If what you're telling me is true, this woman belongs in prison. I know, but my priority is getting Maya out of that house, today if possible. Michael shook his head slowly. Emergency custody removal isn't simple. We need to prove immediate danger to the child. Bruises alone might not be enough. Vanessa will claim the girl is clumsy. She'll produce doctor's notes. She'll have Derek and her friends testify that she's a loving mother. She has a criminal record, theft, fraud, assault. All charges dropped. In the eyes of the court, she's clean. Marcus slammed his hand on the desk. So we just let that child keep getting beaten. We wait for Vanessa to put her in the hospital. Or worse? I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to be strategic. We need multiple witnesses. We need the teacher's documentation. We need the financial evidence showing motive. And we need Maya to testify. She's 7 years old. I know, but her testimony could be the key. If she can tell a judge what happens in that house in her own words with her own voice, it becomes very hard for Vanessa to deny. Marcus rubbed his face with both hands. How long will all this take? If we move fast, maybe a week. We file for emergency guardianship. We present our evidence. We get a hearing date, but there's a risk. What risk? If Vanessa finds out we're coming for her, she might run. She might take Maya and disappear before the hearing. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Michael leaned forward. Then we need to keep her in the dark. No direct confrontation, no police visits, nothing that tips her off. We build our case quietly and strike when she least expects it. Marcus nodded. It made sense. But every day they waited was another day Maya spent in that house. Another day of bruises, another day of fear. "Start the paperwork," Marcus said. "I'll get you the rest of the evidence by tonight." At 8:30, Marcus drove to Peachtree Elementary. He found Nicole Harris in her classroom preparing for the day's lessons. "Mr. Wellington?" She looked relieved to see him. "I've been thinking about Maya all night. Did you learn anything?" "I learned everything. Vanessa has been stealing from Maya's inheritance. She owes money to dangerous people. She's keeping Maya locked up so she can access a $2 million insurance policy, and the abuse is worse than we thought." Nicole's face went pale. "Dear God. I need your help. My lawyer needs your documentation. Every note, every photograph, every incident you've recorded. I'll get you copies today." "There's something else. Do you know if Maya is in school today?" Nicole glanced at her attendance sheet. "She wasn't here yesterday. Let me check the absence reports." She walked to her computer and typed for a moment. Then her expression changed. "Vanessa called in yesterday. Said Maya was sick. Same thing this morning." "She's not sick. She's being kept home." "You think Vanessa knows we're investigating?" "I think she's paranoid. After I showed up at the cemetery, she probably locked Maya down. Doesn't want her talking to anyone." Nicole's hands trembled slightly. "What can we do?" "For now, nothing. We have to play this carefully, but I need you to be ready. When the time comes, I might need you to testify in court." "I'll do it, whatever it takes to save that little girl." Marcus thanked her and left the school. His next stop was the cemetery. It was 9:45 when he arrived. He walked to Jerome's grave and stood there waiting. Maya wasn't there. He checked his watch, waited another 20 minutes. Still no sign of her. His chest tightened. Vanessa had locked her in. Maya couldn't escape through her window anymore. He pulled out his phone and dialed James. "Any update on Vanessa's movements?" "She hasn't left the house since last night. Neither has Derek. The other two guests left around midnight. Right now, it's just the three of them inside." "Three of them. Maya's trapped in there." "Looks that way. I've got eyes on the house. If anything changes, you'll know." "Keep watching." "And James?" "The man in the black SUV last night." "Did you get a plate?" "Already ran it. Registered to a shell company linked to Terrence Blake's network. You've definitely got their attention." Marcus ended the call. He looked at Jerome's headstone for a long moment. "I'm trying," he said quietly. "I'm trying to save her. Just give me a little more time." He drove back to his office to find Michael already working on the legal filings. The next few hours passed in a blur of documents, phone calls, and strategy sessions. At 2:15, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. "Wellington?" "Mr. Wellington, this is Janet Williams, Fulton County Child Protective Services. I'm calling about a report we received regarding a minor named Maya Thompson." Marcus straightened in his chair. "Yes, I'm familiar with the case. I understand you've been in contact with the child and her teacher. I'd like to meet with you to discuss the situation." "When?" "Today, if possible, our office, 4 o'clock. "I'll be there." He hung up and looked at Michael. "CPS wants to meet, 4 o'clock. "Good. That means Nicole's reports finally got their attention. Bring everything we have. The more evidence you can show them, the faster they'll move." Marcus spent the next hour organizing documents, financial records, photos of Vanessa with Derek, the insurance policy with its guardianship clause, medical observations from Nicole, Leon's written statement about the voice device. At 3:45, he walked into the Fulton County CPS office. Janet Williams was waiting for him. She was a middle-aged black woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She led him to a small conference room and closed the door. "Mr. Wellington, I've been reviewing the reports on Maya Thompson. I have to be honest with you. Cases like this are complicated." "Complicated how?" "Vanessa Cole has documentation, therapy appointments, medical records, letters from her lawyer stating that she's a fit guardian. On paper, everything looks proper." "On paper, she's a monster who beats a 7-year-old child and locks her in her room." Janet held up her hand. "I believe you, but believing isn't enough. We need proof that will hold up in family court." Marcus opened his briefcase and began laying out documents on the table. "This is proof. Financial records showing Vanessa stole over $175,000 from Jerome Thompson's accounts while he was dying. Photos of Vanessa with Derek Shaw taken 2 years ago proving their affair started before Jerome's death. An insurance policy worth $2 million that Vanessa can only access if she maintains custody of Maya. And this. He placed Leon's statement on the table. A sworn affidavit from Jerome's brother confirming that Jerome knew Vanessa was dangerous. That's why he built a device to play his recorded voice for Maya every day after his death. He wanted her to know she wasn't alone. He wanted to give her hope until someone could save her. Janet read through the document slowly. Her expression grew more serious with each page. "This is substantial," she said finally, "but I need to see the child. I need to verify the abuse claims with my own eyes." "Vanessa won't let you in. She's keeping Maya locked up. The girl hasn't been to school in 2 days. If the guardian refuses a welfare check, we can involve law enforcement, but that escalates things quickly. It could put Maya at greater risk if Vanessa feels cornered." Marcus leaned forward. "Ms. Williams, I understand your caution, but that little girl is running out of time. Every day she spends in that house is another day of suffering. I can't just sit and wait for the perfect moment." Janet studied his face. "Why are you so invested in this case, Mr. Wellington? You're not family. You're not a social worker. By all accounts, you're a wealthy businessman with no connection to this child." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "When I was 8 years old, I lost both my parents in a car accident. I spent the next 10 years in foster care. Different homes. Different families. None of them wanted me. I was just a check to them. A problem to manage." He paused, his voice thickening. "I know what it's like to be a child that nobody wants to save. I know what it's like to cry for help and have nobody answer. I swore to myself that if I ever had the power to change that for another kid, I would. And now I do. I have the power. I have the resources. And I have a little girl who's waiting for someone to care." Janet's eyes softened. She gathered the documents and placed them in a folder. "I'm going to fast-track this case. Tomorrow morning I'll personally conduct a home visit with police escort. If Vanessa refuses entry, we'll have grounds for emergency intervention. Tomorrow morning might be too late. It's the best I can do within legal bounds, but I promise you, Mr. Wellington, this child is not going to fall through the cracks. Not on my watch." Marcus left the CPS office feeling a mix of hope and frustration. Things were moving, but not fast enough. He checked his phone. 3 missed calls from James. He called back immediately. "Marcus, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Vanessa just got a visitor, a man in a black BMW. He was inside for about 20 minutes. When he came out, he was carrying a briefcase." "Did you get a look at him?" "Raymond Price, her lawyer." Marcus's stomach dropped. Why would her lawyer make a house call? I don't know. But right after he left, Vanessa started packing boxes. I can see her through the front window. She's moving fast. She's running. That's what it looks like. Marcus sprinted to his car. Where is she now? Still in the house, but I don't know for how long. Don't let her leave. Stay on her. I'm a PI, not a cop. I can't physically stop her. Then follow her. Wherever she goes, you go, and keep me updated every 5 minutes. Marcus drove toward Morrison Street, weaving through traffic, his heart pounding. If Vanessa ran with Maya, everything would fall apart. They would disappear, change their names, move to another state, and that little girl would be lost forever. He was still 10 minutes away when James called again. She's on the move. Gray Honda, heading east on Memorial Drive. Is Maya with her? I can't tell. The windows are tinted. Follow her. Don't lose her. Marcus changed direction, pushing his car faster. He was breaking at least 5 traffic laws, but he didn't care. His phone buzzed. Another text from James. She's heading toward the interstate, I-20 East. If she got on the highway, she could be out of the state in hours. Marcus called Michael. Vanessa is running. She's heading for I-20 with Maya. We don't have a court order. We can't stop her. Then get me one. Emergency custody order, temporary restraining order, anything. That takes time, Marcus. Hours at least, maybe longer. We don't have hours. He hung up and pushed the accelerator harder. Another text from James. She just passed the on-ramp. Still on Memorial. Maybe she's not running. Marcus exhaled slightly. Where was she going? 5 minutes later, he had his answer. She pulled into a warehouse. Industrial area off Moreland. Looks abandoned. A warehouse. Abandoned. That wasn't a vacation destination. That was a meeting place. Marcus arrived at the location 15 minutes later. He parked down the street and approached on foot. The warehouse was a large rusted structure surrounded by chain-link fencing. Vanessa's gray Honda was parked near a side door. Next to it was a black Escalade with tinted windows. James was waiting behind a dumpster, camera in hand. She went inside about 10 minutes ago. 2 men met her at the door. Big guys, professional. Terrence Blake's people. That's my guess. Was Maya with her? James hesitated. I saw her pull a small figure out of the back seat. Couldn't get a clear look, but it was child-sized. Marcus felt ice in his veins. She brought Maya here to a meeting with criminals. Looks that way. We need to get in there. And do what there are at least 4 men inside, probably armed. We call the cops now. The cops will take too long. By the time they get here, Vanessa could be gone. Marcus, listen to me. This isn't a corporate negotiation. These people kill for money. If you go in there alone, you're not saving anyone. You're just adding another body. Marcus knew James was right, but every second he waited was another second Maya was in danger. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911. I need to report a kidnapping in progress. A child is being held against her will in an abandoned warehouse off Moreland Avenue. I believe organized criminals are involved. He gave the address and hung up before the dispatcher could ask for more details. Police are coming, he told James, but I'm not waiting out here. Marcus. He was already moving toward the fence. He found a gap in the chain link and squeezed through. The side door was slightly ajar. He pressed his back against the wall and listened. Voices, muffled but audible. A woman's voice. Vanessa. I just need more time. The money is coming. A man's voice, deep, cold. You've been saying that for months. Terrence is out of patience.
Thanks.
The insurance will pay out soon. I just need to finalize the guardianship papers. A few more weeks. You don't have a few more weeks. You have 3 days. 3 days? That's impossible. That's your problem. Terrence doesn't care about your problems. He cares about his money. Another voice, higher, frightened, a child's voice. Please, let me go. Please, I want to go home. Maya. Marcus's blood turned to fire. He pushed through the door. The interior of the warehouse was dim, lit only by a few hanging bulbs. Vanessa stood in the center, facing 2 large men in dark suits. Derek was beside her, arms crossed. And there in the corner, hands tied with rope, was Maya. Her face was streaked with tears. Her yellow dress was dirty and torn. But when she saw Marcus, her eyes went wide. Mr. Marcus? Everyone turned. The 2 men reached for their waistbands. Marcus held up his hands. I'm not armed. I'm not here to fight. Derek stepped forward. Who the hell are you? I'm the man who's going to make sure this little girl gets out of here safely. Vanessa's face twisted with rage. You're the one who's been following me, asking questions, turning people against me. I'm the one who knows everything, Vanessa. The stolen money, the fake documents, the gambling debts, the affair with Derek while your husband was dying. Her face went pale. You don't know anything. I have every piece of evidence Jerome collected before he died. Bank statements, photos, emails. It's already with my lawyer, and copies are with Child Protective Services. The 2 men exchanged glances. One of them spoke into a phone. Boss, we have a situation here. Marcus kept his eyes on Maya. It's okay, sweetheart. I'm here. I told you I'd come for you. Maya sobbed. I knew you would. Daddy said you would. Vanessa screamed. Shut up, shut up. She lunged toward Maya, but Derek grabbed her arm. Easy, Derek said. We've got company. Sirens. Distant but growing louder. The 2 men moved fast. One grabbed Vanessa, the other headed for the back exit. Let's go, now. Derek hesitated, looking at Maya, then at Marcus. Leave the kid, one of the men barked. She's baggage. They dragged Vanessa toward the exit. She was screaming, fighting, but they were stronger. Derek didn't follow. He pulled out his gun and pointed it at Marcus. You ruined everything, he said. We had a plan. We were going to be set for life. Marcus didn't move. The police are 30 seconds away. You pull that trigger, you're done. Maybe I don't care anymore, Maya screamed. Please don't hurt him, please. Derek's hand trembled. For a moment, Marcus saw something flicker in his eyes. Doubt? Fear? Then the sirens burst through the front door. Red and blue lights flooded the warehouse. Police, drop your weapon! Derek looked at the officers, then at Marcus. His face crumbled. He dropped the gun and raised his hands. Within seconds, officers swarmed the building. Derek was thrown to the ground and handcuffed. Outside, more sirens wailed as backup arrived. Marcus ran to Maya. He dropped to his knees and untied the ropes around her wrists. I've got you, he said, his voice breaking. I've got you, sweetheart. Maya threw her arms around his neck and held on like she would never let go. You came? She sobbed. You really came? I told you I would. I promised. An officer approached them. "Sir, we need to get statements from both of you." "In a minute?" Marcus stood up, carrying Maya in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. "First, I need to make sure she's safe." He walked out of the warehouse into the chaos of police lights and emergency vehicles. Janet Williams was there. She had gotten the call and come immediately. "Mr. Wellington?" Her face was a mix of shock and relief. "You found her. She was never lost. She was just waiting for someone to look." Janet reached out and gently touched Maya's back. "Maya, my name is Janet. I'm going to make sure you're safe now. No one is going to hurt you ever again." Maya lifted her head from Marcus's shoulder. Her eyes were red, her face tear-streaked. "Is Vanessa going to jail?" "Yes, sweetheart, for a very long time." For the first time since Marcus had found her in that cemetery. Maya smiled, not a small, fragile smile, a real one. "Daddy was right," she whispered. "He said the truth always wins." Marcus held her tighter. His own eyes were burning with tears he refused to let fall. "Your daddy was a very wise man," he said, "and he loved you more than anything in this world." "I know, he told me every day." An ambulance pulled up. Paramedics rushed over to check on Maya. Marcus set her down gently, but she grabbed his hand. "Don't leave me, please." "I'm not going anywhere, Maya. I'll be right here." Janet stepped closer. "Mr. Wellington, given the circumstances, I'm going to recommend immediate temporary custody be granted to you while we complete our investigation. It's irregular, but so is this entire case." Marcus nodded. "Whatever paperwork you need, I'll sign it. The hearing will be scheduled for next week. Given the evidence against Vanessa and her arrest tonight, I don't anticipate any resistance." "What about Leon, her uncle?" "We'll need to interview him as well, but based on what you've told me, he'll be a strong supporting witness." The paramedics finished their examination. Maya was dehydrated and had several new bruises, but nothing life-threatening. "She's stable," one of them said, "but she should be checked out at a hospital, just to be safe." Marcus looked at Maya. "Is that okay with you? Can we go to the hospital and make sure you're healthy?" Maya nodded. "Will you stay with me?" "Every single second." As they loaded her into the ambulance, Maya suddenly grabbed Marcus's sleeve. "Wait, my journal. Daddy's journal. Vanessa took it from me. It's in her car." Marcus looked at the gray Honda, now surrounded by police tape. "I'll get it. I promise." He walked over to an officer and explained. A few minutes later, the officer returned with the worn leather journal. Marcus brought it to Maya. She clutched it to her chest and closed her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "This is all I have left of him." "That's not true. You have his voice, you have his love, and now you have people who are going to make sure you're never alone again." The ambulance doors closed. Marcus climbed in and sat beside her. As they drove toward the hospital, Maya reached out and took his hand. "Mr. Marcus?" "Yes." "Can I call you something else? Mr. Marcus sounds so formal." Marcus smiled. "What would you like to call me?" Maya thought for a moment. Her small fingers tightened around his. "Can I call you Dad?" Marcus's heart stopped. Then it started again, beating harder than ever before. He looked at this broken, brave, beautiful little girl. This child who had lost everything and still believed in goodness. This child who had waited at her father's grave every day, listening for a voice that told her to keep hoping. And he knew. He had been searching for something his whole life. A purpose beyond money. A family beyond business. He had found it in a cemetery, kneeling beside a 7-year-old girl who heard her father's voice rising from the earth. "Yes?" he said, his voice cracking. "You can call me Dad." Maya smiled and leaned against him, her eyes closing with exhaustion. "Daddy was right," she murmured as sleep took her. "Someone good did find me." Marcus held her hand all the way to the hospital, and he didn't let go. The hospital kept Maya overnight for observation. Marcus never left her side. He sat in the hard plastic chair beside her bed watching her sleep. Her small hand was still wrapped around his fingers, even in unconsciousness. Every few minutes she would whimper softly, caught in some nightmare, and Marcus would squeeze her hand gently until she settled again. At 3:17 a.m. his phone buzzed, a text from James. "Vanessa is in custody, Derek too, but the 2 men from the warehouse got away. Terrence Blake is still out there." Marcus read the message twice. His jaw tightened. This wasn't over, not even close. At 6 a.m. a nurse came in to check Maya's vitals. The girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open. For a moment she looked confused, frightened. Then she saw Marcus. "You're still here," she whispered. "I told you I wasn't going anywhere." Maya's eyes filled with tears. I thought I was dreaming. I thought I'd wake up and be back in that closet. No more closets, Maya. No more locked doors. I promise. The nurse smiled gently. She's doing well. The doctor will come by in about an hour. If everything looks good, she can be discharged this afternoon. After the nurse left, Maya sat up slowly in bed. She reached for her father's journal, which Marcus had placed on the nightstand. Mr. Marcus? Yes. I mean, Dad? Marcus felt his heart skip. Yes, sweetheart. What's going to happen now? Where will I live? Marcus moved his chair closer. For now, you're going to stay with me. A very nice lady named Janet is working on making that official, and then if you want, we can make it permanent. Permanent, like forever? Like forever. Maya stared at him for a long moment. Then she threw her arms around his neck and held on tight. I want forever, she said into his shoulder. I want to stay with you forever. Marcus closed his eyes and let himself feel something he hadn't felt in decades. Hope. Real, genuine hope. At 8:45, the doctor arrived, sir. Patricia Coleman was a kind woman in her 50s with gentle hands and a reassuring voice. Maya, I need to examine you one more time before we can let you go home. Is that okay? Maya looked at Marcus. He nodded encouragingly. Okay, she said quietly. The examination took about 20 minutes. When it was over, Dr. Coleman asked to speak with Marcus privately in the hallway. The physical injuries are relatively minor, she said, her voice low. Bruises, some malnutrition, dehydration, all treatable, but the psychological trauma is another matter. What do you mean? This child has been living in a state of constant fear for months, possibly longer. She's developed coping mechanisms that suggest prolonged abuse, the way she flinches when anyone moves too quickly, the way she watches doors constantly, the way she holds that journal like it's the only thing keeping her alive. Marcus felt a weight settle on his chest. What can I do? She needs stability, routine, patience, and therapy. Lots of therapy. I can recommend a child psychologist who specializes in trauma cases. Give me the name. I'll call today. Dr. Coleman handed him a card. Mr. Wellington, one more thing. This girl has attached to you very quickly. That's both good and dangerous. Dangerous how? If anything were to separate you from her now after everything she's been through, the psychological damage could be severe. She's put all her trust in you, all her hope. You need to be absolutely certain you're ready for that responsibility. Marcus looked through the window at Maya, who was clutching her journal and watching the door anxiously. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. At 11:15, Maya was discharged. Marcus drove her to his home, a large house in the Buckhead neighborhood of Atlanta. As they pulled into the driveway, Maya's eyes went wide. This is your house. This is our house, if you want it to be. Maya was silent for a moment. Then she spoke in a small voice. I've never lived anywhere this big. What if I get lost? Marcus laughed softly. Then I'll find you. I'm pretty good at that. He showed her around the house, letting her explore at her own pace. When they reached the guest bedroom that would become hers, Maya stopped in the doorway. There's no lock on the outside, she said. No, there never will be. And the window opens? Yes, but you don't need to climb out anymore, Maya. If you want to go somewhere, you just ask me. Maya walked to the window and looked out at the backyard. There was a garden, a swing set, a small pond. Daddy would have liked this place, she said quietly. I hope so. I want you to be happy here. She turned to face him. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why are you doing this? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Why do you care so much? Marcus sat down on the edge of the bed and motioned for her to sit beside him. When I was 8 years old, he began, I lost both my parents in a car accident. I had no brothers, no sisters, no grandparents. I was completely alone. Maya listened intently, her eyes never leaving his face. I spent the next 10 years in foster care. Some homes were okay, most were bad, a few were terrible. I learned very young that the world doesn't give you anything. You have to fight for everything you want. That sounds scary? It was. I was scared all the time, but I made a promise to myself. I said that if I ever got the chance to help a kid like me, a kid who was alone and scared and had nobody to fight for them, I would do it, no matter what. He took her small hand in his. When I found you at the cemetery crying at your father's grave, I saw myself. I saw the kid I used to be, and I knew I couldn't walk away. Maya's eyes filled with tears. So you're not going to leave me? Never, not ever. You're stuck with me now, Maya Thompson. Pyle! She smiled through her tears. I don't mind being stuck. At 1:30, Janet Williams arrived for an official home visit. She inspected the house, interviewed Marcus, and spent time alone with Maya asking questions about her feelings and her wishes. When she emerged from the bedroom, her expression was thoughtful. "Mr. Wellington, in all my years doing this job, I've never seen a child bond so quickly with a guardian. She trusts you completely." "Is that a problem?" "No, it's remarkable. Whatever you did in that warehouse, whatever you said to her at the cemetery, it reached her in a way nothing else could." "So what happens next?" "The emergency custody order has been filed. Given Vanessa's arrest and the evidence against her, it should be approved by tomorrow morning. The formal hearing is scheduled for next Friday." "A week from now." "Yes, the judge wants to review all the evidence before making a permanent ruling, but I don't anticipate any complications. Vanessa's legal team is in disarray. Raymond Price has been arrested for conspiracy and document fraud. She's scrambling for new representation." "What about Terrence Blake? His men got away." Janet's expression darkened. "That's a matter for the police. I understand there's an ongoing investigation, but as far as Maya's custody is concerned, that's separate from the criminal case." "It's not separate if Blake decides to come after Maya to get to Vanessa." "I understand your concern. I've recommended that a protective detail be assigned to your residence until the situation is resolved." Marcus nodded. It wasn't enough, but it was something. At 4 o'clock, Leon Thompson arrived at the house. He had called earlier asking if he could see Maya. Marcus had agreed immediately. When Leon walked through the door, Maya ran to him and threw herself into his arms. "Uncle Leon!" Leon lifted her off the ground and held her tight, tears streaming down his face. "My little princess! Thank God you're safe! Thank God!" He set her down and knelt to look into her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Maya. I tried to get you out. I tried everything I could, but the courts wouldn't listen." "It's okay, Uncle Leon. Mr. Marcus saved me." Leon stood and extended his hand to Marcus. "I don't know how to thank you. You did what I couldn't do." Marcus shook his hand firmly. "You did your part. Jerome's evidence made this possible. Without that storage unit, without your testimony, we'd have nothing." Jerome knew. He knew what Vanessa was from the beginning, but he was too sick to stop her. All he could do was leave clues and hope someone would find them. Maya tugged at Leon's sleeve. "Uncle Leon, the voice thing, the box you buried, is it still there?" Leon smiled sadly. "Yes, baby, it's still playing every day, just like your daddy wanted." "Can we go hear it together?" Leon looked at Marcus. Marcus nodded. "Tomorrow," Marcus said, "we'll go together, all three of us." At 6:15, Marcus received a phone call that changed everything. It was Sheriff William Hayes, the officer who had led the raid on the warehouse. "Mr. Wellington, we have a situation. Derek Shaw is talking." "Talking about what?" "Everything. Vanessa's scheme, the financial fraud, the connection to Terrence Blake, and something else, something you need to hear." "Tell me." "Derek says Vanessa didn't just wait for Jerome Thompson to die. He says she helped him along." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. "Are you saying she murdered him?" "Derek claims she was slowly poisoning him, adding something to his medication that made his heart condition worse. He says she's been doing it for months before Jerome finally died." Marcus sat down heavily. His hands were shaking. "Can you prove it?" "We're exhuming the body. If Derek is telling the truth, toxicology will show traces of the poison. But Marcus, there's more." "More." "Derek says Vanessa has been talking to someone inside. Someone who's been feeding her information about your movements, about the investigation, about Maya." "Someone inside where?" "We don't know yet, but someone tipped her off that you were closing in. That's why she ran to the warehouse yesterday." Marcus's mind raced. Who had access to information about the investigation? Who knew his movements? Janet Williams, Michael Anderson, Nicole Harris, James Carter? One of them was a traitor. "Sheriff, I need you to keep this quiet. Don't tell anyone else about what Derek said." "Why?" "Because if there's a leak, I need to find out who it is before they do any more damage." After the call ended, Marcus sat in silence for a long time. Maya was in her room resting. Leon had gone home, promising to return tomorrow. Marcus was alone with a terrible truth. Jerome Thompson hadn't died of natural causes. He had been murdered by his own wife. And someone close to Marcus was helping her. At 8 o'clock, Marcus called James. "I need you to do something delicate, and I need absolute discretion." "Name it." "I need background checks on everyone involved in Maya's case. Janet Williams, Nicole Harris, Michael Anderson, everyone." There was a pause. "You think we have a mole?" Derek Shaw says Vanessa had inside information. Someone was feeding her details about the investigation. That's a serious accusation. I know. That's why I need facts, not accusations. Find me facts, James. I'll have something by morning. Marcus hung up and walked to Maya's room. She was asleep, curled up on the bed with her journal clutched against her chest. He stood in the doorway, watching her breathe. This child's father had been murdered. The woman who killed him had been beating and starving his daughter for months, and someone Marcus trusted was working against them. He made a silent vow. Whoever the traitor was, he would find them, and he would make them pay. The next morning at 7 a.m., Marcus took Maya and Leon to the cemetery. They walked together to Jerome's grave. The morning air was cool, and Maya held Marcus's hand tightly. "It's almost time," she said, checking the position of the sun. "Daddy will talk soon." They knelt beside the headstone. Maya pressed her ear to the ground. Marcus and Leon did the same. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Jerome's voice rose from the earth. "My beautiful Maya, you've been brave for one more day. I know the world seems dark sometimes. I know you feel scared and alone, but you were never alone, baby girl. Daddy is always with you. Daddy loves you more than all the stars in the sky." The voice paused, then continued. "And remember, the truth is always worth fighting for. The truth will set you free. Be brave, my princess. Someone good is watching over you. Trust them. Let them help you." The voice faded into silence. Maya was crying. Leon was crying. Even Marcus felt tears on his cheeks. "He knew," Leon said, his voice breaking. "He knew you would find her, Marcus. He believed someone would come." Marcus placed his hand on the headstone. "I'm going to finish what you started, Jerome. I'm going to protect your daughter, and I'm going to make sure justice is served. I promise you." Maya looked up at him. "Does that mean you're going to catch the people who hurt Daddy?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm going to catch every single one of them." At 9:30, Marcus received the information from James. They met at a coffee shop away from the house, away from anyone who might be listening. James slid a folder across the table. "You're not going to like this." Marcus opened the folder. The first page was a financial report on Nicole Harris. Bank deposits, large amounts, starting 3 months ago. Nicole. Marcus felt sick. Maya's teacher. Someone's been paying her. Regular deposits of $5,000 every 2 weeks. The account traces back to a shell company connected to Raymond Price. Vanessa's lawyer. Exactly. Nicole has been reporting on Maya for months, documenting her behavior, feeding information to Vanessa's legal team. That's how they always seemed one step ahead. Marcus's hands curled into fists. She sat in that classroom every day. She pretended to care. She documented the abuse, and then she sold the information to the abuser. There's more. Nicole was the one who told Vanessa about your involvement. She saw you at the school when you came to ask questions. She made a call immediately after you left. That's how Vanessa knew to run. Yes. Marcus closed the folder. His mind was ice cold now. Clear. Focused. What about the others, Janet Williams, Michael Anderson? Clean. Both of them. Janet has an impeccable record. Michael has been your attorney for years with no red flags. The leak was Nicole and Nicole alone. Can we prove it in court? With these financial records, absolutely. She's going to prison right alongside Vanessa. At 11 a.m., Marcus called Sheriff Hayes. "I found your leak. Nicole Harris, Maya's teacher. She's been on Vanessa's payroll for months." There was a long pause. "Are you certain?" "I have bank records, deposit history. Everything traces back to Raymond Price's firm. I'll have her picked up within the hour." "Good. And Sheriff, don't tell anyone else about this. If Nicole has other contacts, I don't want them warned." By noon, Nicole Harris was in custody. She broke down within minutes of questioning, confessing everything. She had been approached by Raymond Price 6 months ago, shortly after Jerome Thompson's death. He offered her money to document Maya's behavior and report on any outside interest in the child. When Marcus appeared, she had immediately alerted Vanessa. "I didn't know they were hurting her," Nicole sobbed during her confession. "I thought they just wanted to protect their privacy. I needed the money. I was drowning in student loans. I didn't know." Sheriff Hayes didn't believe her. Neither did Marcus. You knew he thought. You saw the bruises. You saw the fear. You knew exactly what was happening, and you sold that child's safety for $5,000 a month. At 2 p.m., the emergency custody order was approved. Maya Thompson was officially placed in Marcus Wellington's care pending the formal hearing. Janet Williams delivered the news personally. "It's done. She's yours, at least until Friday." And after Friday, "If the hearing goes the way I expect it to, she'll be yours permanently." Vanessa has no legal standing anymore. Her criminal charges alone disqualify her from guardianship. And with the evidence of abuse and fraud, no judge in this state would return Maya to her care. Marcus felt some of the tension leave his shoulders, but not all of it. What about Terrence Blake? He's still out there. His men know where Maya was being held. They might come back. The police are investigating, but I'll be honest with you, Mr. Wellington. Men like Terrence Blake don't get caught easily. They have resources, connections. He might disappear before anyone can touch him. Then I need to be ready. If he comes for Maya, I need to be able to protect her. At 4:30, Marcus made a call to a private security firm. Within 2 hours, his home was equipped with a state-of-the-art security system. Armed guards were posted at the entrance. Panic buttons were installed in every room. Maya watched the activity with wide eyes. "Are the bad men going to come here?" she asked. Marcus knelt down to look her in the eyes. "I don't know, sweetheart. But if they do, I'm going to make sure they never get close to you. You're safe here, I promise." "I believe you." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat in his study, reviewing the evidence file, looking for anything he might have missed. At 11:45, his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "Mr. Wellington." The voice was deep, cold, cultured. "We haven't met, but I believe you know who I am." Marcus's blood ran cold. "Terrence Blake." "Very good. I appreciate a man who does his homework." "What do you want?" "Straight to business. I like that." A pause. "I want what Vanessa owes me. $300,000 plus interest. That comes to just over $400,000 now." "Vanessa is in jail. Her assets are frozen. You're not getting anything from her." "That's where you're wrong, Mr. Wellington. Vanessa still has one asset, a very valuable one, a 7-year-old girl who stands to inherit $2 million. Marcus's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles went white. "If you touch that child, I will destroy you." Blake laughed. Soft. Menacing. "Destroy me? You're a businessman, Mr. Wellington. A very successful one. But business is not the same as war. And make no mistake, if you stand between me and my money, this becomes war." "Then bring it. I'm not afraid of you." "You should be. I know where you live. I know where the girl sleeps. I know which room has the panic button and which guard takes his coffee break at 2 a.m. Marcus felt ice flood through his veins. Blake had someone inside his security team. "Here's what's going to happen," Blake continued. "You're going to write me a check for $400,000. You're going to deliver it to a location I specify, and in return, I'm going to forget that Maya Thompson exists. Everyone wins. And if I refuse, then I take what I'm owed by other means. And trust me, Mr. Wellington, you don't want to see what those means look like." The line went dead. Marcus sat in the darkness, his mind racing. Blake had eyes everywhere. In the police department, in the security firm, probably in the courthouse, too. This wasn't just a custody battle anymore. This was survival. At midnight, Marcus made a decision. He wasn't going to pay Blake. He wasn't going to run. He wasn't going to hide. He was going to fight. He called James. "I need everything you have on Terrence Blake, every operation, every associate, every weakness." "That's going to take time." "I don't have time. Blake just threatened Maya's life. He has someone inside my security team. I need to know who I can trust and who I can't." "Give me 24 hours. "You have 12. Marcus hung up and walked to Maya's room. She was asleep, peaceful, unaware of the danger circling around her. He stood in the doorway and made another silent vow. No one was going to touch this child. Not Vanessa, not Derek, not Terrence Blake, not anyone. Whatever it took, whatever the cost, he would protect her with his life. The next morning at 8 a.m., Marcus fired his entire security team. He brought in a new firm, one recommended by James, run by former military personnel with no ties to Atlanta's criminal underground. "No one enters this property without my personal approval," he told the new team leader. "No deliveries, no visitors, nothing." "Understood, sir." At 10 a.m., Michael Anderson arrived with an update on the legal case. "The exhumation order has been approved. Jerome Thompson's body will be examined for traces of poison within the next 48 hours. And if they find something, then Vanessa goes from child abuse and fraud to first-degree murder. She's looking at life without parole. What about the hearing on Friday? Still scheduled, but honestly, Marcus, at this point, it's a formality. The judge has seen the evidence. Janet has submitted her recommendation. Short of something catastrophic, Maya will be permanently placed in your custody." Something catastrophic, like Terrence Blake's men storming the courthouse. Marcus kept that thought to himself. At noon, James arrived with his report on Blake. "You're not going to like this." "I didn't expect to." James laid out the files. "Terrence Blake has been operating in Atlanta for 15 years. Gambling, loan sharking, money laundering. He has connections in the police department and City Hall, even in the judiciary." "Which judges?" "We don't know for certain, but there are rumors about a Judge Harrison taking payments. He's been assigned to several cases that went Blake's way." "Is Harrison involved in Maya's case?" James checked his notes. "No, Maya's case is assigned to Judge Patricia Simmons. She has a clean record, no known connections to Blake." "Then we proceed, but I want eyes on the courthouse. If anyone connected to Blake shows up, I want to know immediately." At 3 p.m., Marcus received another phone call, this time from Sheriff Hayes. "We found something in the exhumation. Preliminary results show traces of an unidentified compound in Jerome Thompson's tissue samples. Poison. It looks that way. We're sending the samples to the FBI lab for detailed analysis. But it's enough to upgrade Vanessa's charges. She's being arraigned for murder tomorrow morning." "Does she know about—" "She will in about 10 minutes. I wanted you to hear it first." "Thank you, Sheriff. One more thing. Derek Shaw wants to make a deal. Full testimony against Vanessa and Blake in exchange for reduced charges." "Can we trust him?" "We can trust that he wants to survive. Blake doesn't forgive traitors. Derek knows that if he doesn't cooperate with us, Blake will have him killed in prison." Marcus hung up and walked to the window. The pieces were falling into place. Vanessa was going down. Derek was talking. Blake was exposed. But the game wasn't over. Not until Maya was safe. Not until the hearing was finished. Not until every threat was neutralized. At 6 p.m., Maya came downstairs for dinner. She had spent the afternoon reading in her room, catching up on schoolwork that Nicole Harris had once pretended to care about. "Dad," she said quietly. Marcus looked up. "Yes, sweetheart." "Is it true what Uncle Leon said, that Vanessa hurt my daddy, that she made him sick?" Marcus set down his fork. He had known this question would come. He had dreaded it. "We think so, Maya. The doctors are still doing tests, but it looks like Vanessa gave your daddy something that made his heart weaker." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "She killed him." "Yes, sweetheart. We believe she did." The little girl was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke in a voice that was older than her 7 years. "Daddy knew. That's why he made the voice box. That's why he wrote the journal. He knew she was hurting him, and he wanted to leave clues so someone would find out." Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. "Your daddy was very brave and very smart. He did everything he could to protect you, even when he was too sick to fight. I miss him so much." "I know you do, and you can miss him forever. That's okay. Missing someone you love isn't weakness. It's proof of how much they mattered." Maya wiped her eyes. "Do you miss your mommy and daddy?" Marcus nodded. "Every single day, even after all these years." "Does it ever stop hurting?" "No, but it gets easier to carry, and eventually you learn to carry it with love instead of pain." Maya stood up and walked around the table. She climbed into Marcus's lap and wrapped her arms around his neck. "I love you, Dad." Marcus held her close, his eyes burning. "I love you too, Maya, more than you'll ever know." That night at 11 p.m., the first attempt was made. Marcus was in his study when the alarm went off. Red lights flashed throughout the house. The security team leader burst through the door. "Sir, we have a breach at the back fence, 2 individuals armed." Marcus was on his feet instantly. "Where's Maya?" "Still in her room. We have 2 men on her door." "Keep her there. Don't let anyone in or out." He followed the team leader to the security station. The monitors showed 2 figures in black cutting through the fence wire. "They're not trying to hide," the team leader observed. "This is a probe. They want to see how we respond." "Then let's respond." The security team moved out. Within minutes, the 2 intruders were surrounded. But before they could be apprehended, a black van screeched to a halt outside the fence. The intruders sprinted for it. Gunfire erupted. The van's tires squealed. By the time the smoke cleared, they were gone. Marcus stood at the fence, staring into the darkness. A message. Blake was sending a message. "I can reach you whenever I want." Marcus turned to the team leader. "Double the guards. Triple the patrols. Nobody sleeps tonight." "Yes, sir?" He walked back to the house and climbed the stairs to Maya's room. She was awake, sitting up in bed, her journal clutched to her chest. "I heard noises," she said. "Loud noises." Marcus sat on the edge of her bed. "Some bad people tried to get in, but they couldn't. My guards stopped them." "Were they coming for me?" He couldn't lie to her, not anymore. Yes, but they didn't get in, and they never will. Maya looked at him with those fierce, wounded eyes. Daddy said the truth is always worth fighting for. Are you fighting for me? With everything I have. She nodded slowly, then she lay back down and closed her eyes. I'm not scared anymore, she whispered. I have you now. Marcus stayed beside her bed until she fell asleep. Then he went downstairs and made another call. James, it's time. I want every piece of dirt you have on Terrence Blake delivered to the FBI by morning. Every operation, every connection, everything. That's going to start a war, Marcus. The war already started. I'm just finishing it. He hung up and looked out the window at the guards patrolling his property. 2 more days until the hearing. 2 more days until Maya was officially his daughter. 2 more days of survival. He had faced worse odds in business. He had built an empire from nothing. He could do this. For Maya, for Jerome, for every child who had ever been failed by the people who were supposed to protect them. The morning of the hearing arrived faster than Marcus expected. Thursday had passed in a blur of security briefings, legal preparation, and sleepless nights. Now it was Friday, 7:15 a.m., and the weight of everything pressed down on his shoulders. Maya sat at the kitchen table picking at her breakfast. She had barely slept either. Marcus could see the dark circles under her eyes the way her hands trembled slightly when she lifted her fork. Are you scared? He asked. She looked up at him in. A little. What if the judge says I have to go back to Vanessa? That's not going to happen, I promise you. But what if she lies? Vanessa is really good at lying. She fooled everybody for a long time. Marcus knelt beside her chair and took her hands in his. Maya, listen to me. The judge is going to hear the truth today. Not Vanessa's lies, not her fake documents, the real truth. About what she did to you, about what she did to your daddy. And when the judge hears that truth, she's going to make sure you never have to see Vanessa again. Maya's eyes searched his face. Do you promise? I promise. She threw her arms around his neck and held on tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything. At 8:45, Marcus received a call from Sheriff Hayes. We have a problem. Marcus's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Terrence Blake disappeared last night. His house is empty. His offices are cleared out. He's gone. Gone where? We don't know, but my gut tells me he's not running. He's positioning. Positioning for what? I don't know, but I've doubled the security at the courthouse. Nobody gets in without going through metal detectors and ID checks. Marcus hung up and looked at Maya. She was watching him with worried eyes. Is something wrong? He forced a smile. Nothing I can't handle. Come on, let's get you ready. At 9:30, Marcus, Maya, Leon, and Janet Williams arrived at the Fulton County Courthouse. Michael Anderson was already there, reviewing his notes in the hallway. How are we looking? Marcus asked. Good, very good. The evidence is overwhelming. Vanessa's new lawyer filed a motion to dismiss yesterday, but Judge Simmons rejected it immediately. What about Blake? Any sign of his people? Michael shook his head. Security has been checking everyone who enters. So far, nothing suspicious. Marcus looked around the hallway. Police officers at every entrance, metal detectors at every door, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Blake didn't run. He didn't hide. He planned. What was he planning? At 10 a.m., the hearing began. Judge Patricia Simmons was a formidable woman in her late 50s. She had a reputation for fairness and zero tolerance for manipulation. When she entered the courtroom, everyone stood. Be seated. Vanessa was brought in through a side door dressed in an orange jumpsuit, her wrists cuffed in front of her. Her hair was limp, her makeup gone. She looked nothing like the confident woman Marcus had first seen at Maya's house. But her eyes were still dangerous, still calculating. She glared at Marcus as she was led to the defendant's table. He met her gaze without flinching. Judge Simmons opened the proceedings. This hearing is to determine permanent custody of the minor child, Maya Thompson. I have reviewed the evidence submitted by both parties. I will hear opening statements followed by witness testimony. Are both parties ready to proceed? Michael Anderson stood. Yes, Your Honor. Vanessa's lawyer, a nervous young man who had been hired at the last minute, also stood. Yes, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Anderson, you may begin. Michael walked to the center of the courtroom. He spoke clearly and confidently, outlining the evidence of abuse, fraud, and murder. He described the bruises found on Maya's body, the financial records showing systematic theft, the preliminary toxicology results indicating poisoning. Your Honor, the evidence is clear. Vanessa Cole is not merely unfit to be Maya's guardian, she is a danger to the child's life. She systematically abused Maya Thompson while simultaneously stealing from the child's inheritance. And most damning of all, she murdered the child's father in order to access a $2 million life insurance policy. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Judge Simmons banged her gavel. Order. Michael continued. We will present witnesses who can testify to the abuse Maya suffered. We will present financial experts who can trace the stolen funds, and we will present medical experts who can confirm that Jerome Thompson was poisoned by his own wife. He turned to look directly at Vanessa. Maya Thompson deserves to be protected from this woman. She deserves to live in safety with a guardian who loves her. We ask that permanent custody be granted to Marcus Wellington. Michael sat down. Vanessa's lawyer stood his hands visibly shaking. Your Honor, my client maintains her innocence. The allegations of murder are based on preliminary evidence that has not been fully analyzed. The allegations of abuse are exaggerated. Ms. Cole was a devoted stepmother who beat a 7-year-old child until her arms were purple, Judge Simmons interrupted. Is that the argument you're making? The lawyer swallowed. Your Honor, we request that the court consider what I have photographs of Maya Thompson's injuries. I have medical records documenting malnutrition and dehydration. I have sworn statements from multiple witnesses. What exactly do you want me to consider? The lawyer had no answer. Judge Simmons turned to Michael. Call your first witness. Michael stood. Your Honor, we call Leon Thompson to the stand. Leon walked forward, his face solemn. He placed his hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. Mr. Thompson, what is your relationship to the minor child, Maya Thompson? She's my niece, my brother Jerome's daughter. And what was your relationship with Jerome Thompson? We were close. Very close. We talked almost every day, even when he got sick. Did Jerome ever express concerns about his wife, Vanessa Cole? Leon nodded. Many times. He told me she was changing, becoming cold, secretive. He said he found strange charges on his credit cards, money disappearing from his accounts. Did he confront her about this? Yes, they fought about it constantly, but Jerome was sick. His heart was getting weaker every day. He didn't have the strength to fight. Did Jerome ever express concern for Maya's safety? Leon's eyes filled with tears. Yes, he called me 3 days before he died. He said he was afraid of what would happen to Maya after he was gone. He said Vanessa had changed. He said she looked at him sometimes like she was waiting for something. Waiting for what? Waiting for him to die. The courtroom went silent. What did Jerome ask you to do? He asked me to build a device, a recording device that would play his voice for Maya every day after he was gone. He said he wanted her to know she wasn't alone. He wanted her to keep hoping until someone could save her. And did you build this device? Yes, I buried it near his grave. It played his recorded messages every day at the same time for 6 months. Why did Jerome feel this was necessary? Leon looked directly at Vanessa, because he knew his wife was going to hurt his daughter, and he was right. Vanessa's face contorted with rage. That's a lie. I loved Jerome. I took care of him. Judge Simmons banged her gavel. Ms. Cole, you will remain silent or you will be removed from this courtroom. Vanessa's lawyer grabbed her arm, whispering urgently. She sat back, but her eyes burned with hatred. Michael continued his questioning, establishing the timeline of Jerome's illness, the suspicious financial transactions, and the efforts Leon had made to gain custody before Marcus intervened. When he finished, the judge called a 15-minute recess. Marcus walked into the hallway and checked his phone. A text from James. Blake spotted near courthouse, driving black SUV, license plate matches warehouse vehicle. Marcus's blood went cold. He found Sheriff Hayes immediately. Blake is here. James spotted him near the building. Hayes' face hardened. Where exactly Parking structure, east side. I'm on it. Hayes grabbed his radio and started barking orders. Marcus returned to the courtroom. Maya was sitting with Janet Williams, looking small and fragile. Is everything okay? Janet asked. Fine, just needed some air. Maya looked up at him. Her eyes were too wise for a 7-year-old. The bad man is here, isn't he? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. It's okay, Maya said quietly. Daddy said the truth always wins. The bad man can't stop the truth. The hearing resumed at 11:15. Michael called his next witness, Dr. Patricia Coleman, the physician who had examined Maya at the hospital. Dr. Otzer, Coleman, please describe the injuries you observed on Maya Thompson when she was admitted. The child presented with multiple contusions at various stages of healing. Fresh bruises on her upper arms consistent with grabbing. Older bruises on her back and legs. Signs of malnutrition, dehydration, and significant psychological trauma. In your medical opinion, were these injuries consistent with accidental falls? Absolutely not. The pattern of injuries was consistent with repeated physical abuse over an extended period. These were not accidents. These were deliberate acts of violence against a child. Did Maya tell you how she received these injuries? Yes, she said her stepmother hit her, grabbed her, pushed her against walls. She said it happened almost every day. Vanessa's lawyer jumped up. Objection, the child's statements are hearsay. Your Honor, Michael countered, the statements fall under the medical treatment exception. Maya made these statements to a physician in the course of receiving medical care. Judge Simmons nodded. Overruled. Continue. Dr. Coleman finished her testimony detailing the physical and psychological damage Maya had suffered. Next came the financial expert, a forensic accountant named David Chen. Mr. Chen, what did your analysis of Jerome Thompson's financial records reveal? A systematic pattern of theft. Beginning approximately 8 months before Mr. Thompson's death, large sums were transferred from his personal accounts to an offshore account registered in the name of Vanessa Cole. The total amount transferred was approximately $175,000. Were these transfers authorized by Jerome Thompson? There is no evidence that they were. The authorization signatures on the transfer documents appear to be forgeries. How do you know they were forged? We compared them to known samples of Mr. Thompson's handwriting. The differences are obvious. Additionally, several transfers occurred on days when Mr. Thompson was hospitalized and physically incapable of signing documents. Michael presented the documents as evidence. Judge Simmons examined them carefully. This is damning, she said quietly. At 12:30, the judge called a lunch recess. Marcus didn't eat. He spent the break on the phone with Sheriff Hayes. Did you find Blake? The SUV is gone. He must have left when he saw the increased security. Or he's waiting for a better moment. I've got officers watching every exit. If he shows up again, we'll see him. Marcus wasn't reassured. Blake was too smart to be caught by uniformed officers. He had something planned. Something nobody expected. At 1:45, the hearing resumed. Michael stood. Your Honor, we call Maya Thompson to the stand. Marcus's heart clenched. They had discussed this. Maya had insisted on testifying. She wanted to tell her story in her own words. But seeing her walk toward the witness stand so small and brave made Marcus want to grab her and run, to protect her from everything. The bailiff helped Maya into the chair. Her feet didn't reach the floor. Judge Simmons leaned forward, her voice gentle. Maya, do you understand what it means to tell the truth? Yes, ma'am. It means saying what really happened, not making things up. And do you promise to tell the truth today? I promise. Michael approached carefully, keeping his voice soft. Maya, can you tell us who you lived with after your daddy went to heaven? Vanessa and Derek, and sometimes Vanessa's friends? Was Vanessa nice to you? Maya shook her head. No, she was mean. She yelled at me all the time. She called me names. What kind of names? Stupid, worthless, ugly. She said I was nothing without my daddy's money. Did Vanessa ever hit you? Maya nodded, her eyes dropping to her lap. Yes. Can you tell us about that? Maya's voice trembled. She would grab my arm and squeeze really hard, or push me against the wall, or slap me if I did something wrong. What kinds of things made her angry? Everything. If I dropped something, if I ate too much food, if I cried too loud. She said my crying gave her headaches. Marcus felt his hands shaking. He gripped the armrest to steady himself. Maya, did you tell anyone about what Vanessa was doing to you? I tried. I told my teacher, but then Vanessa got really mad. She said if I told anyone again, she would hurt me worse. She said nobody would believe me anyway because I was just a stupid kid. Did that scare you? Yes, I stopped telling. I just tried to be good so she wouldn't hit me. But you went to your daddy's grave every day. Why? Maya's eyes filled with tears. Because he talked to me. Every day. I would put my ear on the ground and hear his voice. He said I wasn't alone. He said someone good was going to find me. And did someone find you? Maya looked directly at Marcus. A small smile broke through her tears. Yes, my dad found me. The courtroom was silent. Even Judge Simmons had tears in her eyes. One more question, Maya. Do you want to live with Mr. Wellington? Maya nodded firmly. Yes, he's my dad now. He saved me, and he loves me. I want to stay with him forever. Michael turned to the judge. No further questions. Vanessa's lawyer stood hesitantly. Your Honor, I have no questions for this witness. Judge Simmons nodded. Maya, you may step down. You did very well. Maya walked back to Marcus and climbed into his lap. He held her tight. I'm proud of you, he whispered. So proud. At 2:30, Michael called his final witness, Dr. Robert Hendricks, the forensic toxicologist who had analyzed Jerome Thompson's tissue samples. Dr. Hendricks, what did your analysis reveal? The tissue samples contained traces of digoxin at levels significantly higher than therapeutic range. Can you explain what that means in plain terms? Digoxin is a medication used to treat heart conditions. In proper doses, it helps the heart function, but in excessive doses, it can cause fatal cardiac arrhythmias. Are you saying Jerome Thompson was given an overdose of his own medication? Yes, the levels we found were 3 to 4 times higher than what his prescription called for. Someone was systematically increasing his dosage without his knowledge. Could this have been accidental? No, the pattern of elevation over time suggests deliberate manipulation. Someone was slowly poisoning him. In your professional opinion, did this contribute to his death? Without question, Jerome Thompson's death was not natural. It was homicide. The courtroom erupted. Judge Simmons banged her gavel repeatedly. Order, order. Kiki, Vanessa screamed. From the defendant's table. Lies, all lies, I loved him. 2 bailiffs moved toward her. She lunged across the table, trying to reach the witness stand. I'll kill you, I'll kill all of you. The bailiffs grabbed her. She fought wildly, scratching, biting, screaming. Maya buried her face in Marcus's chest, crying. Judge Simmons stood. Remove the defendant from the courtroom immediately. It took 4 officers to drag Vanessa out. Her screams echoed down the hallway long after the doors closed. Judge Simmons took several deep breaths to compose herself. We will take a 30-minute recess. When we return, I will deliver my ruling. Marcus carried Maya into the hallway. She was shaking. It's okay, he soothed. She's gone. She can't hurt you anymore. She said she would kill us. She's going to prison, Maya, for the rest of her life. She'll never get near you again. Leon joined them, his face pale. I've never seen anything like that. It's over, Marcus said. Almost over. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Enjoy your victory, Mr. Wellington. It won't last. See you soon. Marcus deleted the message without showing anyone. At 3:15, court resumed. Judge Simmons entered, her face grave. I have reviewed all evidence and testimony presented in this case. I have also reviewed the criminal charges pending against Vanessa Cole, including first-degree murder, child abuse, fraud, and embezzlement. She paused, looking directly at Marcus and Maya. In all my years on the bench, I have rarely seen such a clear case of evil. Vanessa Cole married a dying man, stole his money, murdered him for insurance proceeds, and then systematically abused his 7-year-old daughter. She is a monster in human form. She turned to the paperwork in front of her. It is the ruling of this court that permanent custody of Maya Thompson be granted to Marcus Wellington. All parental rights of Vanessa Cole are hereby terminated. Mr. Wellington shall have full legal authority over Maya's care, education, and welfare. Maya gasped. Does that mean... Judge Simmons smiled gently. Yes, Maya, Mr. Wellington is now your father, legally and permanently. Maya threw her arms around Marcus's neck. Dad, Dad, you're my dad forever. Marcus couldn't speak. Tears streamed down his face. Leon grabbed his shoulder. You did it, man. You saved her. Janet Williams approached, smiling. Congratulations, Mr. Wellington. This is the outcome we all hoped for. The courtroom broke into applause. Even the bailiffs were clapping, but Marcus couldn't celebrate. Not yet. Blake was still out there, and his text had made one thing clear. This wasn't over. At 4 o'clock, they left the courthouse through a side entrance surrounded by security. Marcus had arranged for an armored SUV to transport them home. He wasn't taking any chances. They were halfway to the vehicle when his phone rang. James. Marcus, get out of there. Now. What's happening? Blake's men are in the parking structure. At least 6 of them. They're blocking the exits. Marcus grabbed Maya's hand. Leon, Janet, stay close to me. The security team formed a tight circle around them. They changed direction, heading back toward the courthouse. But before they reached the doors, a black van screeched around the corner and blocked their path. The side door slid open. 3 armed men jumped out. "Nobody move!" Marcus pushed Maya behind him. "Stay behind me, no matter what happens." The security team drew their weapons. A standoff. Then a voice cut through the chaos, smooth, cold, familiar. "Mr. Wellington, we meet at last." Terrence Blake stepped out of the van. He was tall, well-dressed, with silver hair and dead eyes. "You've caused me a great deal of trouble." "Let us go, Blake. This is over." "Over?" Blake laughed. "It's barely begun. You see, I don't care about Vanessa anymore. She's useless. But that little girl behind you, she's worth $2 million, and I always collect what I'm owed." Marcus felt Maya trembling against his back. "You're not touching her." "Who's going to stop me? You're rent-a-cops. They're outgunned and surrounded." It was true. More of Blake's men had appeared behind them. They were trapped. Marcus's mind raced. He needed to buy time. The police were inside the courthouse. If someone had heard the commotion... "How much?" Marcus said suddenly. Blake raised an eyebrow. "How much what?" "How much to make you walk away? Name your price." Blake smiled. "Interesting. The billionaire wants to negotiate." "I'm not a billionaire, but I can get you whatever you want. More than $2 million. Much more." "How much more?" $10 million, cash, untraceable. You take it and disappear. We never see each other again." Blake considered. His men shifted uncomfortably. $20 million? Done. Blake laughed. "You're either very brave or very stupid, Mr. Wellington." "Neither. I'm a father protecting his daughter, and I'll pay any price to do that." Something flickered in Blake's eyes, almost like respect. "Interesting. Very interesting." He took a step forward. His men raised their weapons, and then everything exploded. Police poured out of the courthouse. Sheriff Hayes led the charge weapon drawn. "Police, drop your weapons!" Blake's men hesitated. It was enough. The security team opened fire. Blake's men dove for cover. Marcus grabbed Maya and ran. Leon and Janet followed. Bullets whizzed past them. Glass shattered. Screams echoed. They reached the courthouse doors and burst inside. More police rushed past them toward the fight. Marcus didn't stop. He kept running, carrying Maya, until they reached a secure room deep inside the building. He set her down and collapsed against the wall, gasping. "Are you hurt, Maya? Are you hurt?" She shook her head, crying. I'm okay. Leon and Janet burst through the door seconds later. "We made it," Leon panted. "Dear God, we made it." Outside, the gunfire continued for another 2 minutes, then silence. Sheriff Hayes appeared in the doorway, his face grim but triumphant. "It's over. Blake is in custody. Most of his men are down. The rest are running." Marcus closed his eyes. "Thank God. You bought us the time we needed, Marcus. That negotiation kept him talking long enough for us to get in position." "I wasn't negotiating. I was stalling." Hayes grinned. "Same thing." Maya tugged at Marcus's sleeve. "Dad is the bad man gone now." Marcus knelt down and hugged her. "Yes, sweetheart. All the bad people are gone. You're safe. Forever." She cried against his shoulder. Happy tears, relief tears. The tears of a child who had finally found home. That evening, Marcus brought Maya back to their house. The security team was still on high alert, but the atmosphere had changed. The tension was gone. Leon came for dinner. Janet stopped by to drop off the final custody paperwork. Maya sat at the table eating more than Marcus had ever seen her eat. She laughed at Leon's jokes. She asked Janet about her job. She acted like a normal 7-year-old girl, for the first time. After dinner, Marcus found her in her room looking out the window at the backyard. "What are you thinking about, Gnome?" "Daddy, my first daddy, I miss him." Marcus sat beside her. "You'll always miss him, and that's okay." "Do you think he knows that I'm safe now?" "I think he's known from the beginning. I think he's been watching over you this whole time." Maya smiled. "That's what Uncle Leon says, too." "Uncle Leon is a smart man." She leaned against Marcus, her head resting on his arm. "Dad?" "Yes." "Can we go to the cemetery tomorrow? I want to tell Daddy what happened. I want him to know that his plan worked, that someone good found me." Marcus kissed the top of her head. "We'll go first thing in the morning." "Promise?" "Promise?" Maya closed her eyes, a peaceful smile on her face. "I love you, Dad." "I love you too, Maya, more than you'll ever know." He stayed with her until she fell asleep. Then he walked downstairs and stood at the window looking out at the quiet street. Vanessa was in jail awaiting trial for murder. Blake was in federal custody facing RICO charges. Derek had turned state's evidence and would spend the next decade in prison. Nicole Harris had been arrested for conspiracy, and Maya was safe. Finally, truly safe. Marcus thought about Jerome Thompson, a man he had never met, a father who had loved his daughter so much that he had engineered his own voice to speak from beyond the grave. "I kept my promise, Jerome," Marcus whispered to the empty room. "Your daughter is safe, and I'll protect her for the rest of my life." Outside, the stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere, Marcus believed Jerome was watching and smiling. The next morning came with a stillness Marcus hadn't felt in weeks. No alarms, no threatening phone calls, no armed men at the gates. Just quiet. He woke at 6:15 and found Maya already dressed, sitting on the edge of her bed with her father's journal in her lap. "You're up early, huh?" he said from the doorway. "I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about going to see Daddy today." Marcus walked in and sat beside her. "Are you nervous?" "A little. It's different now. Everything is different." She looked up at him. "Before I went to the cemetery because I had nowhere else to go, nobody else to talk to, but now I have you, I have Uncle Leon, I have a home." "Does that change how you feel about visiting your father?" Maya thought for a moment. "No, I still want to go. I still want to talk to him. But now I'm not going because I'm sad. I'm going because I'm happy. I want to tell him the good news." Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. "That sounds perfect." They left the house at 8 o'clock. Leon met them at the cemetery gate holding a bouquet of white roses. "These were Jerome's favorites," he explained. "He used to bring them to your mama's grave every month." Maya took the roses carefully. "I remember. He let me carry them sometimes." They walked together through the rows of headstones until they reached Jerome Thompson's grave. The morning sun was warm and a gentle breeze stirred the grass. Maya knelt down and placed the roses against the headstone. "Hi, Daddy. It's me, Maya." Marcus and Leon stood back, giving her space. "A lot has happened since I talked to you last. Vanessa is gone. She's in jail now. She can't hurt me anymore." Maya's voice trembled slightly. "And the bad men who helped her, they're gone too. The police caught them." She paused, tracing her fingers across her father's name carved in stone. "But the best thing, Daddy, is that I have a new family now. Mr. Marcus, he found me, just like you said he would. Someone good came, Daddy. Someone who loves me." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she was smiling. "Uncle Leon is here too. He helped. He told everyone about the voice box you made. He showed them all the things you hid. You were so smart, Daddy. You knew what would happen. You left clues so someone could find the truth." She pressed her palm flat against the grass. "I miss you so much. I miss your voice. I miss your hugs. I miss the way you used to sing Amazing Grace before bed." Her voice broke. "But I'm okay now. I'm really okay. And I know you're watching over me. I can feel it." Marcus wiped his eyes. Leon was crying openly, not bothering to hide it. Maya stood up and looked at the headstone one more time. "I love you, Daddy. To the moon and back, forever and always." She turned and walked back to Marcus. He opened his arms and she fell into them. "Thank you for bringing me," she whispered. "Anytime, sweetheart. Anytime." Leon joined them, placing his hand on Maya's shoulder. "Your daddy would be so proud of you, Princess, so proud." "Do you think he heard me?" Leon smiled through his tears. "I know he did." They stood together in silence for a few minutes, honoring the man who had loved Maya enough to protect her, even after death. Then at exactly 9 o'clock, the voice box activated. Jerome's voice rose from the ground, soft and warm. "My beautiful Maya, you've been brave for one more day. I know the world seems scary sometimes, but you were never alone. Daddy loves you more than all the stars in the sky. Be strong, be brave, and remember, the truth is always worth fighting for." Maya closed her eyes and listened. A peaceful smile spread across her face. When the message ended, she looked up at Marcus. "I don't need to hear it every day anymore. I have his voice in my heart now. I'll never forget it." Marcus nodded. "We can come back whenever you want, as often as you need." "I know, but I think Daddy would want me to live my life, to be happy, to stop being sad all the time." "What do you want to do with the voice box?" Maya thought for a moment. "Can we leave it, just in case some other sad person comes to the cemetery and needs to hear a kind voice?" Marcus felt his chest tighten with emotion. This child, after everything she had been through, still thought about helping others. "That's a beautiful idea, Maya." Leon knelt down and adjusted the hidden speaker near the grave foundation. "I'll make sure the battery keeps working. Your daddy's voice will keep playing for anyone who needs to hear it." They left the cemetery together, walking slowly, savoring the peace of the moment. At 10:30, Marcus received a call from Michael Anderson. "I have updates on all the criminal cases. Are you sitting down?" "Go ahead." Vanessa Cole has been formally charged with first-degree murder in addition to the existing charges of child abuse, fraud, and embezzlement. Her trial is scheduled for next month. Given the evidence, prosecutors are confident of a conviction. She's looking at life without parole. Good. What about Blake? Terrence Blake is being held without bail on federal racketeering charges. The FBI has been building a case against him for years. Your evidence combined with Derek Shaw's testimony gave them everything they needed. He's finished. And Derek, he's cooperating fully. He'll serve time, but his testimony against Vanessa and Blake will reduce his sentence significantly. What about Nicole Harris? She pleaded guilty to conspiracy and obstruction. 5 years likely, out in 3 with good behavior. And Raymond Price, disbarred and facing 15 years for document fraud, conspiracy, and accessory to murder after the fact. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Justice. Real justice. For Jerome, for Maya, for everyone Vanessa and Blake had hurt. Thank you, Michael, for everything. Don't thank me, you did the hard work. I just filed the paperwork. After the call ended, Maya came into the study. Who was that? My lawyer. He was telling me about what's happening to Vanessa and the others. Are they all going to jail? Yes, every single one of them. Maya nodded slowly. Good. They deserve it. Are you okay? She climbed into the chair beside him. I keep thinking about what you said, about how you were in foster care when you were little, about how nobody came to help you. What about it? It makes me sad. You were just a kid, like me, and nobody cared. Marcus took her hand. It was a long time ago. I survived. I built a good life. But it still hurts, doesn't it? Even now. He paused. This child saw too much, understood too much. Yes, he admitted. It still hurts sometimes. But meeting you, helping you, it healed something inside me, something I didn't even know was broken. Maya squeezed his hand. Maybe that's why Daddy's voice led me to you, because we both needed to be found. Marcus pulled her into a hug. Maybe you're right. The following week was a whirlwind of activity. Marcus began the formal adoption process. It was complicated, filled with paperwork and home visits and psychological evaluations, but Janet Williams helped guide them through every step. Maya started seeing a therapist, or Angela Morrison, who specialized in childhood trauma. The sessions were difficult at first. Maya didn't want to talk about what had happened in Vanessa's house, but slowly, with patience and trust, she began to open up. She's making incredible progress, Dr. Morrison told Marcus after the 4th session. Children who have experienced this level of abuse often struggle for years, but Maya has something most of them don't. What's that? Hope. She never stopped believing that someone would save her. That faith combined with the stability you're providing is helping her heal faster than I've ever seen. Marcus thought about the voice box, about Jerome's daily messages of love and encouragement. Her father gave her that hope even after he died. Then he was a remarkable man. Yes, he was. 2 weeks after the hearing, Marcus received a visit he didn't expect. He was in his home office when the security guard announced a visitor. A woman named Dorothy Hayes. Says she's Sheriff Hayes' wife. Marcus frowned. Send her in? Dorothy Hayes was a small woman in her 60s with white hair and kind eyes. She carried a cardboard box in her arms. Mr. Wellington, thank you for seeing me. Of course, please sit down. She placed the box on his desk. My husband told me about everything you did for that little girl. He said he'd never seen anyone fight so hard for a child who wasn't even his own. Maya deserved someone to fight for her. Dorothy smiled. That's exactly what I told William. That's why I wanted to bring you this. She opened the box and pulled out a worn photo album. When I was a little girl, I was in foster care too. Just like you. I bounced from home to home for 6 years before someone finally adopted me. Marcus stared at her. I didn't know? Not many people do, but I kept this album all these years. Pictures from every home I stayed in. Pictures of the people who were kind to me even when they couldn't keep me. She turned the pages slowly. Faded photographs, smiling faces, moments of happiness captured in time. I wanted you to see that you're not alone, Mr. Wellington. There are more of us than you think. Children who grew up without families, who built families of their own. Children who became adults, who saved other children. Marcus felt tears threatening. He blinked them back. Why are you showing me this? Because I want you to know that what you're doing matters. Not just for Maya, for all the children like her. Children who are crying out for help right now, waiting for someone to listen. She closed the album and placed it back in the box. My husband and I never had children of our own, but we fostered over 30 kids during our marriage. Some of them still call us mom and dad. That's incredible. It wasn't easy. Some of them were angry, some were scared. Some had been so damaged that they didn't know how to accept love. But we never gave up on them, and neither should you. She stood up to leave, then paused at the door. Maya is lucky to have you, Mr. Wellington, but I think you're lucky to have her too. Don't forget that. After she left, Marcus sat alone in his office for a long time, thinking about what she had said. 30 children. 30 lives changed. And Dorothy Hayes was just one person. What if there were more? What if he could help create more? An idea began forming in his mind. Something bigger than himself. Bigger than just one child. He picked up his phone and called Michael Anderson. I need you to research something for me. Foundations, charities, organizations that help foster children and abused kids. Any particular reason? I'm thinking about starting one. There was a pause on the line. That's a big undertaking, Marcus. I know, but I have the resources, and now I have the motivation. What are you going to call it? Marcus looked at the photograph of Jerome Thompson that Maya had placed on his desk. The Thompson Foundation, for children who need someone to fight for them. 3 weeks later, the adoption was finalized. Marcus stood in Judge Simmons's courtroom, Maya beside him holding his hand. Leon sat in the front row, tears already streaming down his face. Judge Simmons smiled as she reviewed the final documents. This is my favorite part of the job, she said. The part where broken families become whole again. She turned to Maya. Maya Thompson, do you understand what is happening today? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Marcus is becoming my dad, for real, forever. And is that what you want? Maya nodded firmly. More than anything. And Mr. Wellington? Do you understand the responsibility you are accepting to love, protect, and care for this child for the rest of her life? Marcus's voice was thick with emotion. I do, Your Honor. Then by the power vested in me by the state of Georgia, I hereby declare the adoption of Maya Thompson by Marcus Wellington to be final and complete. She banged her gavel. Congratulations, you are now legally father and daughter. Maya screamed with joy and threw herself into Marcus's arms. Dad, you're my dad, my real dad. Marcus held her tight, crying openly now. I've always been your dad, sweetheart. Now it's just official. Leon rushed forward and wrapped them both in a bear hug. My brother is smiling right now, he said through his tears. I know he is. Janet Williams approached with a stack of papers. Here are the certified copies. Maya Thompson is now legally Maya Wellington if she chooses to change her name. Maya pulled back and looked at Marcus. Can I be Maya Wellington? Only if you want to. I want to, but can I keep Thompson too? I don't want to forget my first daddy. Marcus smiled. Maya Thompson Wellington. How does that sound? Perfect, it sounds perfect. They celebrated that night with a party at the house. Leon brought barbecue from his favorite restaurant. Janet came with a cake. Even Sheriff Hayes and his wife Dorothy stopped by. Maya ran around the backyard laughing, playing being a child in a way she hadn't been able to be for years. Marcus watched her from the porch, his heart full. Dorothy Hayes appeared beside him. She's going to be okay, Dorothy said. You can see it in her eyes. I hope so. I know so. I've seen too many broken children to mistake hope when I see it. That little girl has more hope than any child I've ever met. Her father gave her that. No, her father planted the seed. You helped it grow. Later that evening, after the guests had gone and the house was quiet, Maya found Marcus in his study. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything. That lady, Mrs. Dorothy, she said you're going to start a foundation to help other kids like me. I'm thinking about it. Would you be okay with that? Maya's eyes lit up. More than okay. I want to help. Help how? I don't know yet, but there are other kids out there right now, scared, alone, waiting for someone to find them, like I was. She climbed into his lap. Maybe we can be the ones who find them. Marcus kissed the top of her head. I think that's the best idea I've ever heard. Over the next 6 months, the Thompson Foundation became a reality. Marcus poured his resources into building an organization dedicated to helping abused and neglected children. He hired social workers, lawyers, therapists. He partnered with schools and hospitals and law enforcement agencies. The foundation's mission was simple: no child should ever feel alone. Maya became the unofficial mascot. She appeared at fundraising events telling her story with a courage that amazed everyone who heard it. "I was scared for a long time," she would say. "I didn't think anyone would help me, but someone did. And now I want to help other kids know that someone cares about them too." Donations poured in. Volunteers signed up by the hundreds. The foundation grew faster than Marcus had ever imagined. On the 1-year anniversary of the day Marcus found Maya at the cemetery, they returned together. The grave was covered with flowers. People from all over the city had started visiting, drawn by the story that had become legend. The story of a father who loved his daughter so much that he spoke to her from beyond the grave. Maya knelt down and touched the headstone. "Hi, Daddy. It's been a year. Can you believe it?" She talked for a long time, telling Jerome everything that had happened. The adoption, the foundation, the hundreds of children they had already helped. "We're making a difference, Daddy, because of you, because of what you taught me, because you never stopped believing that someone good would find me." At exactly 9 o'clock, the voice box activated one last time. "My beautiful Maya, you've been brave for one more day. I know the world seems scary sometimes, but you were never alone. Daddy loves you more than all the stars in the sky. Be strong. Be brave. And remember, the truth is always worth fighting for." Maya smiled and closed her eyes. "I love you too, Daddy, forever and always." When the message ended, she stood up and took Marcus's hand. "Ready to go home?" he asked. "Almost. There's one more thing I want to do." She pulled a small card from her pocket and placed it at the base of the headstone. Marcus leaned closer to read it. It was a picture Maya had drawn. A little girl with braids holding hands with a tall man in a suit. Above them in the clouds, another man watched over them with a smile. At the bottom in Maya's careful handwriting were the words, "My two dads." Marcus felt his heart crack open and overflow. "That's beautiful, Maya." "I have 2 dads now, one in heaven and one right here, and I love them both." She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "Thank you for finding me, Dad. Thank you for not walking away." Marcus knelt down and held her close. "Thank you for believing I would come. Thank you for never giving up." They stayed like that for a long moment, father and daughter bound together by something stronger than blood. Bound by choice. By love. By faith. Then Maya pulled back and grinned. "Can we get ice cream on the way home?" Marcus laughed. "Absolutely!" They walked out of the cemetery together, hand in hand, into a future neither of them could have imagined a year ago. Behind them, the voice box sat silently beside Jerome Thompson's grave, ready to speak again the next morning. Ready to remind anyone who needed to hear it that they were not alone, that someone loved them. That hope was always worth holding on to. As they drove home, Maya fell asleep in the back seat, her father's journal clutched against her chest, just as it had been the first day Marcus found her. He glanced at her in the rearview mirror and smiled. This child had changed his life, had given him purpose, had taught him what it meant to be a father. And he had done the same for her, had given her safety, had given her home, had taught her what it meant to be loved. 2 broken people who had found each other in a cemetery surrounded by death and built something beautiful together. Something alive. Something real. Something eternal. That evening, Marcus sat on the porch and watched the sunset. Maya played in the backyard with a puppy they had adopted the month before, a golden retriever she had named Hope. Leon was coming for dinner. Janet had called to share news about another child the foundation had helped. Life was full in a way Marcus had never experienced before. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. For a moment his heart raced. Old fears never die completely, but when he opened the message he saw it was from Dorothy Hayes. "Just wanted you to know child number 31 was placed with a loving family today. They saw your interview and decided to foster. You're making a difference, Marcus. Jerome would be proud." Marcus read the message 3 times. Then he looked up at the sky where the first stars were beginning to appear. "Thank you, Jerome," he whispered, "for trusting me with your daughter, for showing me what love really means." A warm breeze stirred the air, and for just a moment Marcus could have sworn he heard a voice, soft, familiar, full of love. "Thank you for finding her." He closed his eyes and smiled. Maya ran up to the porch, Hope bouncing at her heels. "Dad, come play with us." Hope learned how to fetch. Marcus stood up and walked toward his daughter. His daughter. The word still filled him with wonder. "I'm coming, sweetheart." She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the yard, laughing a live hole. And Marcus Wellington, the orphan who had grown up with no one, walked into the golden evening light surrounded by family, by love, by hope. Because that's what Jerome Thompson had understood. That's what he had built into every recorded message. That's what he had buried beside his grave for his daughter to find. Hope. The belief that no matter how dark the night becomes, morning always comes. The faith that no matter how alone you feel, someone is always watching over you. The truth that love never dies. It echoes, it endures, it saves. And in the end, that truth had saved them all. Maya Thompson Wellington was no longer a broken little girl crying at her father's grave. She was a daughter, a survivor, a beacon of light for every child still trapped in darkness. And Marcus Wellington was no longer a lonely billionaire with an empty mansion and an emptier heart. He was a father, a protector, a man who had finally found what he had been searching for his entire life. A family, a purpose, a home. The little black girl who once sobbed and whispered that her daddy was still alive had found her truth, and that truth had set them both free, forever.